Recording in progress. Recording in progress.
Good evening, welcome to the Worcester City Council. If you can, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and the Star Spangled Banner.
United States of America, and the nation, under indivisible, liberty.
Oh, say can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Oh, yeah.
Roll call.
Council Bergman? Here. Council Bellotta?
Here.
Council Economo?
Here.
Council Rizzolo?
Here.
Council King?
Here.
Council Mitra?
Here.
Council Hayda?
Here.
Council Rivera?
Here.
Council Rosen?
Here.
Council Toomey?
Here.
And Mayor Petty.
Here. Public participation, the person may speak for no more than 2 minutes, and I am appearing on the agenda. Mr. Clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Rule 39, items of public interest. At every meeting of the City Council, under public participation portion of the agenda, the chair shall recognize any person seeking such recognition for the purpose of addressing the council on any eligible items on the agenda, both in person and remotely. Any person who wishing to speak on more than one agenda item shall combine the testimony on all items to one appearance at the microphone. The time for speaking shall not exceed 2 minutes for one speaker or 30 minutes for all speakers.
Thank you. Okay, anybody? Did your name, see your residence, item number?
Well, there's only one item, so I don't think
Yeah.
we have to worry about that. I thought I was missing some items here, and I kept looking. I would like to talk about 5A. I know the city manager has an amazingly hard job, and I do realize that in this type of government, that he's responsible for a lot of stuff. But I don't think there's such a clear cut what the responsibilities are. The city is desperately looking for leadership. We need leadership in this time of bad things going on in the state and the federal government. Which one of you, I think I brought this up a few weeks ago, who is going to be our leader in the city? Who's going to calm down the people that are afraid of ICE, afraid of housing, no housing, homeless people? Which one of you are going to stand up? The only thing I will criticize is that I know we don't hear too much public talking from the city manager. I don't know why, but we need somebody in this room that will stand up and inform the people what's going on and ease their mind. And all politics are local. So we need you to do that. And if we're not going to do that, we need a total charter review and charter change, because all you're going to do is push this charter upon the people because they have no recourse otherwise. The other thing I was talking about, would like to talk about, is I talked to my city councilor before I left the meeting last week. Your last meeting was only less than an hour, maybe 40 minutes. I asked him about, there's so many things that need to be done, and he said, no, don't worry, next week will be a full meeting. We have one agenda item. What's happening to the people in the city? What are you doing for the whole people of the city? I don't see anything happening, so I think we should look into that. Thank you.
Thank you. Is your name, see your residence?
Ashley Spring, Worcester, Massachusetts. Obviously here to speak about the same issue that Gary was speaking about on the agenda, which is the only item on the agenda. All I'm going to say is simply that we need more transparency and stronger leadership. 4 out of 10. Thanks.
Is your name, see your residence?
My name is Fiana Jatan Singh. I live in the city of Worcester, District 3. Again, I'm going to speak on the same item. That's the only item on the agenda. I do not feel like our city manager, I think it's up for the raise or whatever, but we have so many issues in the city, besides the homeless population, which I know there are countries that have done away with homelessness, so it can be eradicated if people are willing to take responsibility and do it in-house instead of just donating to other nonprofits to try to put the issue off on somebody else. Besides the roads that are unpaved, I know they're now filling potholes. All of a sudden, now they're filling potholes. It's probably because of this meeting today. But we have many roads that are private roads that cannot be afforded to be paved, that the citizens themselves cannot pay, even though they're paying the same taxes. Our city charter needs to be reviewed. People cannot afford to pay for their sidewalks where they don't have any sidewalks, which there still haven't even been proper infrastructure put in the whole city, where kids still have to walk the 2-mile radius around their schools. There are so many issues in this city. We still don't have a citizens review board, which apparently all of you guys are against, even though the Department of Justice has come out with a report talking about how our police use excessive force, and then there was a statement that we weren't going to coordinate with ICE, but yet every day I hear people are getting taken from our courthouse right here in Worcester by ICE. I don't understand how this lack of transparency, lack of accountability, lack of leadership, and also you get paid more than he gets paid more than the mayor of, I've heard, Boston and Springfield combined, yet our city is not the same size as Boston. So I don't understand how he's able to negotiate such a great contract with our city to get paid so much, but yet can't negotiate with Spectrum to get the senior citizens to get their discounts, or even for us to have a proper contract with Spectrum so that they don't keep raising people's rates in the middle of their term when it's supposed to be a 12-month set price, and they keep jacking up prices every month. There's so many things that need to be negotiated, so many people that need to be held accountable, so many departments that are not uniformly held to the
Thank
standards, but so many
Thank you.
changes need to be made. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Clerk?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So we have 2 call-in users online. First one is David Webb. I'm going to try and meet the resident now. Please say your name, city residence, and the item you're calling on.
David Webb, Olympia, currently residing at Paul 5 Politics and Anxiety in Boylston for 2 weeks. On item 5A, Eric Batista self-assessment. As I understand it, evaluating the manager is one of the responsibilities of the city council, so it is unfortunate that she doesn't even let me do that. Who was in charge here again? Oh, right. Thanks for this item, Mayor Petty. Specifically in regards to the 2026 fiscal year, he has wasted another $2 million on the so-called Quality of Life Task Force, which hunts and displaces the unhoused community under the dehumanizing guise of handling trash. On that note, though, it does seem like some neighborhoods finally got trash bans, which was very, very, very long overdue, so that's it. His armed forces at the Worcester Police Department continue their retaliatory and discriminatory practices, continuously opening the city up, the taxpayers, up to more lawsuits instead of protecting or serving anyone. Liars of the Worcester Police Department continue to demonstrate that they cannot win a fair fight in court or otherwise, and are shielded from accountability by problematic union leaders and a law department that uses the Holden lawsuit to avoid paying out on others and continue to legally withhold public records. The 2026 fiscal year also included Holder Park not paying for itself, as there's Chamber of Commerce on. But hey, at least the nation's most expensive stadium of its league to be used as a top city. Maybe a new training ground will give it integrity, because this administration certainly isn't making that happen. Worcester is a haven for corrupt cops, pregnancy centers, and so-called luxury apartments, while its actual quality of life gets lower and lower for the diverse and vibrant communities that used to make it special. This self-assessment is like when the Worcester Police Department investigates themselves and finds no wrongdoing, biased and inaccurate. So, to the city manager, you take responsibility for your department and hold them accountable. to the city council, please do your job and evaluate the city manager yourself. Thank you.
Our next speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The next speaker is Glenn Pape. Trying to meet the resident now.
Yes, Glenn Pape, Worcester. On 4A, Worcester is flying blind without a scorecard. Expecting this council to grade the city manager's performance without measurable performance targets and the results is an exercise in blind faith. Think about the roads. What pavement condition did the council ask the city to maintain? What turnaround time did the council establish for filling potholes? What measurable improvements were set for the $11 million more we're going to spend on roads next year? None. No targets were set. Roads are one example. The same questions apply to snow removal, parks, public safety, housing, clean streets, every major service the city provides. Spending always produces accomplishments, but accomplishments are not performance. Performance means achieving targeted outcomes that meet public needs. The manager says that we're in a perfect storm, but in a storm you need a compass, and performance targets are that compass. The city gives us 33 pages of mostly activities. Where outcomes are reported, there's no comprehensive performance targets. None had been set. Homicides are not public safety. Overdoses are not public health. Without a comprehensive scorecard, we can't know how the city is doing. We have to stop celebrating activities and start operating as a modern performance organization. The council doesn't ask for specific performance targets, and the city's in the dark. And if the city doesn't tell us key performance results every month, we're all in the dark. This is Worcester's version of don't ask, don't tell. The council doesn't ask, the city doesn't tell. The result is no scorecard, no accountability, endless council requests for reports, and surprises for the public. Worcester is missing its scorecard. Without a public scorecard, there is no transparency. Without measurable targets, there's no accountability. Worcester deserves both.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to go to the first item of business. Communication of the city manager, transmitting information communication of the city manager's self-evaluation of the work and accomplishments of the administration for fiscal year 2026. Councilor Conomo.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. One moment. Thank you. I want to start by just saying, you know, I'm fortunate where I served this great city, I don't know, 14 years ago for 6 years. I got to meet our city manager when he was just getting started in here and working in some areas where he was constantly in charge of others and creating bigger projects and moving his way up the ladder. So it gives me a lot of pride to see somebody like that work through the system and become the man that he is today. Is everything perfect? No, we don't live in a perfect world, as we can see here today. In general, my comments, Mr. Mayor, are very favorable here to our city. Yeah, is there room for improvement? Without question. The city manager says that himself, as do his team members. I'll go through this as I have it narrated here. You know, in regards to skills, I gave the manager a 24 out of 25. I feel the city manager does a great job in how he works with his department heads to get me, as a district councilor, the information that I need. When people call me, they want an answer. They don't want it 2 weeks from now, 3 weeks from now. They want it relatively soon. So my constant discussion with the manager is, look, I need an answer one way or the other. Yay, nay, we can do it, we cannot do it. And I think in most cases, that is established. And I think he's done a great job with us, keeping us in the loop, even with the Alert Worcester. It's in process, it's coming, here we are. Even with Polar Park, with development around the city. We're working towards this. We should have more information in the next report. So I appreciate all that. That's why I gave him the 24 out of 25. In regards to accountability, the city manager he's accountable. There are things here, I'll just go problem solving. Overall, does a great job. I'd like further oversight on areas that the taxpayers are constantly asking for. Primarily, in my position, it comes to Public Works, Department of Transportation, Mobility, Worcester PD, Worcester Fire. These 4 areas are felt every single day by the residents and businesses alike, and much more emphasis and oversight is needed here. No surprise to the city manager. We talk about this when I meet with him every month. DPW and the Department of Transportation and Mobility, I would say, have the biggest impact on people every single day. The snow season went the way it went. Does it need improvement? Sure. He was on it, the commissioner was on it, brought his report forward as to what he'd like to see changed. And we're going to have the benefit of holding him to that in this next season, winter season. When it comes to Worcester PD, I don't know, I'm a pro-Worcester Police Department person. I personally think they do the job better than any other community that I'm aware of. I wouldn't want to do that job. I wouldn't want to do it. I've been on that ride along. I've been in that situation where a split second changes an outcome. A split second, think of that. Barely enough time to think of what you're going to do next changes everything. But they're trained. They're highly trained individuals and do a very good job. And I would say the same too with Worcester Fire. As I had mentioned prior, being on scene a month or 2 ago at a house fire up in the district, just how quickly they acted to get the fire under control. They got into the house, they brought the resident out. Unfortunately, she succumbed to her injuries, but they were on the spot. They did their job like clockwork. They know what they're doing. I'm proud to have them here, and I'd like to see more of it as we go forward. Some of the areas I want to talk to the manager about as we go forward, going into this next year too, has to do with police. How do we work, Mr. Manager, to get 2 classes on in 1 year? We're barely, right now, getting even with retirements and new recruits. I'd like to see if there's a way that we can get that 2nd class in. Even how we deal with officers that get called up to hospital duty. On any given night, we can be down complements of men off the street doing hospital duty. There has to be a workaround on that. With Worcester Fire, I'm a big proponent of that impact unit. I've listened to them in action. I think they work phenomenally. When we're looking at cost, there is tremendous cost savings in equipment. We're spending well over $1 million to $2 million per truck now. I think we could have an impact division that can probably do a lot of the smaller things instead of sending an engine company or a ladder company out to do. I'd certainly love to see that. And when it comes to DPW, Department of Transportation and Mobility, I believe it has to do a lot more with process. I think the process is what's failing us as taxpayers. From how we collect trash, how we detect snowfall, how we make our street repairs, the number of sidewalks, squares that have been removed and awaiting replacement. Some of these are taking months. Catch basin work. We do a great job putting the cones out, but we're not doing a good job getting the job to completion. It's taking a long time. There are areas, I leave my house, there's a patch in the street, it's been there since winter, it doesn't even have asphalt on it, it's just sitting there as hard pack. Easy 5 months. There's a sidewalk up the street, it's been dug out, it's been sitting there at least a month. I drive by a catch basin that they've pulled apart, easy going on 2 months. This is where we're failing, and I think this is where we need further work in our processes. In addition to that, I've had numerous calls in the last week with streetlights. I went out last night. I was out at 9 o'clock till 10 to check out the areas that I was given. 1, 2, 3, 4, 8, 10, 11, 15 I found, just going from one location to the next location that I was asked to go look at. They're out. Some of these have been out for months. A whole neighborhood has no streetlights. This is the process that we have to work with. And I know from before, when I was on the council, some of it is our responsibility, some of it is National Grid's responsibility. But I also recall before, when we were coming on, when I was on then, that going to the new LED system, we would be able to know when a light was out, and we could take action quickly. I see that falling by the wayside, and I think that's, again, these are basic services that the people are asking for, and I, as a district counselor, those are the primary calls that I get. And that's where I think the process has to change. We get notified well, we investigate it, and then when it comes time to implementation, I feel that's where we fail. In regards to pilot, for me, what WPI, the steps they've taken to remove 2 hotels at some point off the tax rolls, 1.6, close to $2 million of tax revenue being taken off the table, is a tremendous slap in the face to the taxpayers of Worcester. If there's one area I want you to work hard on and expect you to work hard on, and I know you are working on it, is in regards to pilot. Because if the colleges and universities don't come through in a significant manner, I have items ready to hit the council floor to make it more difficult for them to do their job here in the city. They're always quick to point out how much they do for the city. But what they fail to see is how much good we, the residents and businesses, do for the city to make them look just as good. And the tax revenue that comes off the table is hurting us. It's hurting us tremendously. And as you know, this year, next year, and probably the year after are going to be tough budget years. And this is when it matters. So I expect more in regards to pilot. But overall, when I look around the city, I love to see our city grow. As you said, I think it was last week, our city's grown 2,000 people just in this last time period, which is phenomenal. As you said, we're not going for an override, right? Where other communities have gone for overrides, some have shot them down. We see the town of Rutland laying off police and fire. We're not in that same boat. I look at your staff, Mr. Manager, and I just want to say thank you. They are, in my opinion, as a district councilor, the backbone of the work that I need to get done for the residents in Worcester. I was just talking to Commissioner Antonelli. I drove by Tacoma Street Playground last week. That is the premier park in the city of Worcester. I can't wait to cut that ribbon with you, Commissioner, because that park, from all the, oh, it's a west side, it's the north end, it's the west side. No, this is on the east side. This is right on the east side, and it's the #1 park here in the city of Worcester, and I'm thankful that it's in District 1. I'm thankful to my predecessors who carried that ball and got it to this spot. I'm grateful for myself. That was the last vote I took when I was on the council before, that master plan. I was at that meeting. That was the last thing I did in December, and I'm happy to see it come to fruition now, and I look forward to cutting that ribbon there, as well as at Roberto Clemente, down on Northeast Cutoff. Great parks. I think our park system in this city is tremendous. Where other city can you go, move into a neighborhood, and walk to a park? You can't. Only in Worcester, and I'm thankful for that. But those are some of the things I look forward to in our next year together. Other than that, Mr. Manager, I'm really grateful. I do feel you do a lot to be open and transparent with all of us. You know, the Holden sewer thing, not so much our fault as it is the state and DCR's fault. And you know, as we come up into the upcoming months, I will be asking for a full detailed report on that, because I think the residents deserve to know what's going on that, how it went down, and where where things lie, because some people think it's our fault, and it's not completely our fault. DCR and the state have a lot to do with this, and they're not coming to the table to talk to us to make things right with the communities that this serves. So overall, my time is up. I'm going to let it go, but I'm grateful for being here. I'm grateful to have you here. I appreciate you listening. I appreciate you taking the constructive criticism, and I look forward to working with you to solve more problems in District 1, Sagamore Road, and other areas in the district. So thank you, Mr. Manager. Thank you for everything.
Thank you. Councilor King? You can go ahead if you want. I was going to go last. What's that? Okay. Councilor Rivera? Councilor Rivera, followed by Councilor Fazolo.
Thank you. I rise pretty much to provide some context for my evaluation, to recognize several accomplishments of the administration, and to identify areas where continued improvement is necessary to meet the expectations that the residents of District 5 have communicated to me over the past several months. Reminding everybody that I'm coming here 6 months in, and my relationship that I've been building with the city administration has been, I think, great so far. First, I want to express my appreciation for the city manager's willingness to be present through both the good and the challenging moments, and his commitment to maintaining open lines of communication with councilors. That transparency, accessibility, and willingness to engage, and even during difficult conversations, is valued and helps foster stronger working relationships between the administration and the city councilors. I also want to acknowledge the city manager's cabinet. While the city manager is the public face of the administration, there's an entire team working diligently behind the scenes to move initiatives forward, solve complex challenges, and support the work being done throughout the city. Their dedication and collaboration deserves recognition. Although Worcester continues to face several longstanding challenges, I am encouraged by the work I have observed from the administration over the past 6 months. One example is the significant increase in the number of people experiencing homelessness and the challenges associated with that growing concern. Your administration deserves credit for its vision and the follow-through in establishing the Days Resource Center and the services it will provide. This is an important step toward addressing the needs of some of our most vulnerable residents. At the same time, residents are seeking assurance that the city will remain vigilant and attentive to the broader effects of homelessness throughout the community, including the downtown core, neighborhood parks, and wooded areas across the city. I personally want to thank the Assistant City Manager, Han Yang, and Dan Cahill and his Quality of Life team for their extensive work undertaken thus far, and for the responsiveness shown when District 5 residents contact me with concerns. Another area where I see reasons for optimism is winter storm operation. The Department of Public Works weathered a particularly challenging winter season. However, Commissioner Westerland's recent report to the council assures public safety while planning operations and allocation resources effectively to provide residents and business owners with the adequately plowed and treated streets and clear sidewalks. I and the Worcester residents look forward to seeing those proposed improvements reflected in the future winter operations. There are also several areas where I believe additional progress and greater urgency are necessary. While I acknowledge that the pilot program is voluntary and there are limitations on the city's ability to compel participation, discussions regarding pilot agreements with the city's colleges and universities have become a protracted process. The city has considerable influence that should be used to encourage these institutions to contribute meaningfully and to remain considerate neighbors to the residents, families, and business owners in the surrounding area. It has also been approximately 2 years without a new cable contract with Spectrum and the associated discount for senior residents. This matter has remained unresolved for too long, and I believe greater urgency is needed to bring these negotiations to conclusion. Finally, residents throughout the city, not only in District 5, have repeatedly called for increased traffic enforcement. These concerns have been expressed consistently over an extended period of time. Residents should not have continued raising the same issue, public concerns, without seeing a meaningful and sustained response. I recognize that staffing deployment and competing public safety demands present legitimate challenges. However, the administration must develop and clearly communicate a practical strategy for increasing traffic enforcement, identifying the resources required. Residents have made this priority unmistakably clear, and they deserve to know that their concerns are being heard and acted upon. Taken as a whole, my evaluation recognizes an administration that has demonstrated accessibility, strong leadership, and meaningful progress in several important areas. It also reflects my belief that effective leadership requires not only acknowledging accomplishments, but confronting areas where expectations have not yet been met. The progress made thus far should be recognized, but it also must be followed by continued action, measurable results, and accountability on the issues that remain unresolved. I appreciate the work has been accomplished, and I remain optimistic about what can be achieved through continued communication, collaboration, and a shared commitment to delivering the level of services the residents of District 5 and the entire city of Worcester deserves. Therefore, that's why I gave you a passing grade. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor King?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just want to begin by saying that to the city manager that I respect and acknowledge the fact that public service comes with public sacrifice. On a personal level, it occurs on a familial level, it occurs, and I stand in full earnest with the respect of that fact that you have to live every day along with your loved ones. That being said, Mr. Chairman, I also want to begin by a public ask, and I've thought about this some time, and it's regarding the state of the city, Mr. Chairman. The state of the city occurs prior to our process here on the Council of Evaluation. And for me, it undermines that process. I've researched other cities when those state of the cities occur. And this isn't something that Manager Batista created. This happened from his predecessor, Manager Augustus, and I stopped attending those, only because it's important that we have a process where the public's very clear about our evaluation process and our perspective on state of the city. It's also very clear that having a state of the city prior to this process influences public perception without metrics and without input of this body. That being said, Mr. Chairman, I'd also like, so again, it's my ask as we move forward that there is an adjustment with regards to that. I'd like to begin by acknowledging strengths and challenges that I observed in the manager's leadership. The city manager brings to our city operational insight, fiscal discipline, and a presence in our community. As mentioned by my colleague, became a man here, became a professional here, became educated here. Has demonstrated the ability to manage under tight constraints. If you've looked at his report, you see the financial impact of local aid reductions. So able to, under tight constraints, lead us forward. There's a whole host of folks here from various departments, and I truly believe that they do the best they can with the resources that we as a city prioritize and provide. Throughout our budget process, I had a lot of questions as relates to various departments, allocations of funds, et cetera. And, you know, the budgeting folks and the economic development team, our chief financial officers, all those folks really roll up their sleeves and go to work. supporting local businesses. City manager has promoted cultural incentives, looked toward improving residential growth and housing production plans, all in the midst of challenges. Our Parks Department, as mentioned, I believe it's the best in the country. Very proactive in a lot of the work that they do. And continuing to advance the master planning of our city parks has always been a priority of this administration. I want to thank the countless number of folks who volunteer for our boards and commissions. They are, I'm going to say pseudo, de facto, not quite sure what the right language is, employees of the city. And we appreciate them as well. Their service is foundational to the civic life of the city here. To our frontline public safety folks on all fronts, we appreciate that work. I extend my appreciation to council staff, staff of the administration and the city manager, and of course, the folks in the public who hold us accountable. So the purpose today of my remarks is to raise specific meritorious acknowledgments and commendations, along with the following concerns regarding performance, and a call for clear accountability and timely action when needed. I'd like to see moving forward a more proactive administration. We've heard from a number of counselors throughout this particular term of the responsiveness of departments, responsiveness of department heads and staff. I'd like to get ahead of some of those operational challenges and systemic inefficiencies to gain some consistency on behalf of the taxpayer, behalf of the folks that live here. Department of Public Works has come under significant scrutiny. Their teams also worked through historic weather events this year. And as acknowledged, responses weren't perfect, but many folks dedicated countless hours to our residents. Our bond rating has remained stable. That's commendable. Your administration has navigated these financial burdens, and continual leadership and financial management will be critical as we move forward. I want to go to some of my concerns before I go to my overall rating, Mr. Chairman, to the manager. I want to begin with the debacle of the stretch code. The pause in handling of that particular situation misinformed the council, it misinformed the public, and betrayed the public trust. Why? Well, there was insufficient data, insufficient vetting, and insufficient meaningful involvement for the council's purposes on the floor of the commissioner and the Department of Sustainability and Resiliency, departments that were working at cross purposes. I'd like to see, Mr. Chairman, to the manager, a transparent review of that decision-making process and evidence on housing impacts and a clear timeline to resolve any outstanding issues as relates to housing production and the code. I have concerns that I brought forward regarding co-response and mental health. We had invested in a social worker co-response clinical team that was effectively sunsetted without a clear, accountable path forward. We are still waiting for a promised differential response policy and increased HHS clinical and youth staffing that also needs increasing to ensure additional public safeties. I'd like to see, Mr. Chairman, a plan to restore and fully implement a funded co-response model and to increase HHS staffing. That was one of the things that I pointed out in the budgetary process, is that in the midst of the challenges with the unsheltered, the unhoused, folks with dual diagnoses, that while the budget was tight, these last two terms, we had opportunity to increase the capacities of those departments. And there were some shifts and changes with a particular social worker, but there's more work to be done. I brought up, Mr. Chairman, the issue of commissions and boards. We had challenges last term as it relates to that. I'm going to focus on a couple that I championed: the Commission on LGBTQ+ Affairs and the Commission on African American and Black Affairs. The lack of work product that has been, and recommendations that have come forward out of those bodies. The implementation of the Department of Justice and Equity recommendations have of late been minimal. We need more accountability there. I'd like to see, Mr. Chairman, status reports, deliverables, additional staffing support if necessary for boards and commissions, and timelines for these commissions and recommendations. I've filed orders in the past asking for minutes, asking for those things that are available on the website, I was told. But in order to inform our subcommittees here, it has to come to the council floor. So I'd like to see more about that, Mr. Chairman. Projects like Endicott and Bigelow Street that are advancing despite neighborhood opposition, with concerns about reduced parking and accessibility to our parks. I'm also going to talk about local economic impact. This council unanimously supported the item that I brought forward regarding supplier diversity and a local multiplier effect policy to bring and ensure that our city contracts go to local jobs, go to local small businesses, go to women-run businesses, and go to minority-owned businesses. Those things have not come forward with a timeline, and now more than ever, we need to make sure that we do that. It's important at this point to note the important increase in our tax base that has occurred under the leadership of the city manager. So that is duly noted. Deferred maintenance and building stability, something I brought up in last year's evaluation, a continued concern. Fanning Street, the lack of use of Seaver Street, the update on the Denham building. I've asked for a report back on the safety within the Worcester Police Department as it relates to code and fire assessment, safety assessment of that building, along with the Fanning building and the like. I'd like to see further advancement there. Significant concerns, Mr. Chairman, this past term regarding the lack of shelter, reduction in shelter beds for our homeless. We had a situation and we didn't have a plan. Now, the city manager reacted to that, advocated, and was able to move and establish a level in cooperation with the private sector, but there was no plan. We had a reduction in capacity. We currently, we acquired the RMV property, and at this time, Mr. Chairman, we need more communication regarding what is the plan for that property, what are we doing with it. It remains an eyesore. I also like to see a maintenance plan for that. Again, communication, the 311 app that went down without, at a very difficult time here for our residents, with snow removal, pothole responsive, pedestrian concerns. We finally have something up and running, but we didn't have a backup plan, Mr. Chairman. We need to be proactive. We're still waiting for pedestrian safety measures like rumble strips, et cetera. There has been improvement there. If you look at his record, there has been improvement, but there's additional work to be done. Mr. Chairman, I'm gonna wrap this up with something that I brought up last go around as well, and that is the fact that there are no standardized departmental performance metrics or consistent evaluations to allow for meaningful accountability across departments. Now, the manager and I have had this discussion for a few years now. That's on the way, but it's still today not in effect. I would like to see an adoption of standardized performance metrics across departments and a schedule for annual review, Mr. Chairman. We also need to be clear of next steps as well. We're looking forward to, in addition to this report, an action plan with clear timelines, and would like to address the following. The restoration and implementation of a co-response in HHS staff and Health and Human Service staffing increases to deal with those populations. Again, the review and report on the stretch code decision. Timelines as it relates to supplier diversity and multiplier effect piloting. A comprehensive shelter plan for this year, Mr. Chairman, in addition to the day center, which the manager should be commended for. A prioritized deferred maintenance list to be provided to the council with timelines and funding plans. And Mr. Chairman, we had, at the request of the city manager, the Research Bureau do a report on civilian review. We're still waiting on information, Mr. Chairman. So we would like to see, I would like to see an implementation plan for those recommendations that came forth and a timeline that protects reforms from any sort of political concern. The adoption of, again, the standardized performance metrics and evaluations, Mr. Chairman, and would like to see, as I filed and I will refile and request, a pilot task force comprised of folks that are appointed from the community, by the manager's office, by the mayor's office, to do some of the work as it relates to pilot and our nonprofits, because clearly we need that support. Mr. Chairman, this is about public safety, equity, fiscal stewardship, and restoring public trust. I urge my colleagues to support these measures as we move forward in their own particular ways, Mr. Chairman. One of the last things I want to say before I close is, when it comes to budgeting and our values, city manager initiated with the Shannon funding a switch where city department are point guarding that. And it's been very important, and it's been very effective. But in addition to that, we've been able to educate our youth on vaping, on tobacco use, et cetera. There's a whole host of good work that's been done by the people here. But there's more work to be done, Mr. Chairman. And with some of these things that have not occurred, the lack of data, the lack of accountability doesn't eliminate the professionalism of the city manager, but it does call for more, Mr. Chairman. Similar to last year, my overall rating is needs improvement. We certainly know that there's a number of inefficiencies that occur and need to be responded to, but I'd like to see more proactive, measured operational changes. And I'd also like to see an investment, increased investment in how we're responding to the social ills that we have going on here. Because either we're going to do one or two things when it comes to those issues. Either we're going to invest in suppression and arrest, or we're going to invest in resourcing. Either way, we're going to end up paying. And sure, we got to engage the private sector. I commend the city manager in that. But we can do more, Mr. Chairman. So that's my overall rating. And I appreciate the public service that has gone on. But we have to do better here in Worcester. Thank you.
Thank you. Council Fazol.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you to my colleagues, the audience here tonight, and the general public at home. Mr. Manager, I rise to provide some context for my evaluation. I've had the honor of serving District 3 as its city councilor and working alongside you for approximately 6 months. During that time, I have seen your passion for public service, your commitment to the future of this city, and the seriousness with which you approach your responsibilities as city manager. I recognize the significant demands that come with leading an organization as large and as complex as the City of Worcester. I also know the energy and urgency and passion that I bring to this position each day. I approach public service with a sincere commitment to delivering results for my constituents. And I want that same sense of urgency reflected in how priorities are communicated, coordinated, and advanced by this administration. I want to be clear that this is not a criticism of many dedicated city employees who work hard each day to serve our residents, often under difficult circumstances and with significant demands on their time. My concern is ensuring that once an issue is raised and delegated, there is a clear process for maintaining momentum, tracking progress, and providing timely follow-up. At times, matters referred through the administration appear to lose momentum, become delayed, or require repeated follow-up before an answer or action is provided. I understand that you cannot personally oversee every request or operational matter. However, an important part of executive leadership is establishing systems that ensure delegated priorities continue to move forward and that the council and the public receive clear and timely responses. That was the framework I used in completing this evaluation. I believe you are deeply committed to public service, have a vision for this community, and have begun responding to many of the concerns that my colleagues and I have raised during the first several months of this council term. At the same time, we are already more than 1/4 of the way through a 2-year term. And there are matters I raised at our first meeting for which I am only now beginning to receive answers. I believe we can do better collectively by strengthening communication, coordination, and follow-through so that constituent concerns are addressed more promptly and decisively. I look forward to continuing to work with you and your administration. I bring a great deal of energy and commitment to this role, and I hope to see that same urgency reflected through strong leadership, effective coordination, and consistent follow-through. I'll just go through some of the parts of the city manager's evaluation. Skills. The city manager has a clear understanding of city policies, procedures, and process through all city departments. The city manager is very knowledgeable about the functions of each city department. Whenever I bring a matter to his attention, he already knows the background of that matter. When I contact the city manager directly on tasks, they are handled promptly. However, there are times when tasks are delegated and they are not completed in as of a timely manner that if handled by the city manager's office directly. There needs to be a better process for monitoring progress on delegated tasks. Under accountability, the city manager is eager and willing to resolve any issue that I bring forward to him. When I mention an item or issue to him, I'm shocked on how much knowledge he has regarding that particular subject and his willingness to solve the problem. The city manager demonstrates responsibility for those decisions. The city manager is a strong leader, and his intentions are clearly in the right place. But when tasks are delegated and individuals are empowered, progress on those tasks can be delayed. Under financial management, I believe additional human resources are needed in the DPW as there are a large number of vacancies. This impacts service delivery, such as when DPW street staff are pulled to work on trash routes. If vacancies are unable to be filled, consideration should be given to help with the trash and recycling services being performed by a outside contractor. And I don't mean that in replacing any positions or jobs here in the city. I'm just asking to look at better ways that we might improve in those areas. Debt management. When borrowing is presented to the council, it would be helpful to include the annual debt service payment information to understand the financial trade-offs better. There is concern regarding debt levels associated with the Holden lawsuit and with the performance of the ballpark DIF reserve. The bond rating. The city manager steadfastly adheres to the city's financial integrity plan, most notably maintaining nearly $26 million in excess levy capacity, which improves the bond rating agency's evaluation of the city, which keeps borrowing costs lower. The excess levy capacity also keeps taxes lower for the city's residents and businesses. Under public health and safety, mental health and substance use disorder, the city manager effectively balances public health priorities with competing city budget needs. While there has been turnover in the public health leadership staff, recent hires have provided stability and a new vision for those departments. Under reduction of overdoses, unlike the majority of Massachusetts municipalities, Worcester has been quick to deploy opioid settlement funding, ensuring policies and programs receive funding, which is a testament to the city manager's leadership on this issue. The number of overdoses and deaths from overdoses has declined, demonstrating the effectiveness of the city's programs. Reduction in youth violence. Long-standing initiatives such as summer impact programs continue to operate successfully, and new initiatives such as Handle with Care demonstrate a commitment to preventing further youth traumatization leading to violence. Reduction of gun violence. The work by the Crime Gun Intelligence Unit has been effective in removing guns from the streets and in apprehending so-called trigger pullers. Healthy homes. The use of the CDBG funding to support elderly homeowners to repair their homes and additional support for the lead abatement program has been both effective. Affordable neighborhoods and reducing homelessness. First, affordable housing. The city manager has demonstrated passion in addressing the affordable housing crisis. The city's administration works closely with Congressman McGovern to secure an earmark to support the development of senior housing adjacent to the senior center. And that is a highlight that I look forward to ongoing efforts to bring that project to reality. In fact, today, myself and Peter Dunn had a meeting about that project moving forward. So anybody who doesn't believe that that is going to happen, I strongly suggest think otherwise. Outreach to unhoused individuals. The city manager is making progress on the completion of a homeless strategic framework. The investment in the Day Resource Center demonstrates a commitment to promoting the dignity and recovery of unhoused individuals. But additional progress is needed in identifying and establishing winter shelters in a more timely manner. The Day Resource Center, it appears the Day Resource Center will open on time with a groundbreaking occurring earlier this year. The city manager has demonstrated commitment in ensuring the center is completed and opened as soon as possible. Access to quality parks. The city has numerous parks that appear to be well maintained. I have received concerns from constituents about dredging ponds at Elm Park and Institute Park, and I've also received concerns about the conditions of the Blythewood Park basketball court. But Commissioner Antonelli and both Commissioner Antonelli and the city manager has been there each and every time I've had any request, and I look forward to solving those issues with both gentlemen in the future. Increase access to fiber and affordable broadband options. Contract issues with Spectrum remain unsolved. Although I know the city manager is actively working on this issue, I am pleased to see the city manager intent to issue a request for information on this topic. Clean city initiatives. Clean neighborhoods. The city continues to have cleanliness issues in neighborhoods. However, the city manager has introduced initiatives such as the Clean Team, Clean Streets Collective, etc. My concern is that these are done site by site instead of being a comprehensive and holistic improvement to cleanliness issues. Well-maintained public spaces. There is a clear vision articulated by the city manager, which is evident in initiatives such as the Urban Forestry Master Plan and Keep Worcester Clean program. However, there needs to be improved implementation which requires resources. For example, street trees, tree pits, flower beds, etc. are overgrown or taking over by invasive species, which makes the surrounding areas look unattractive. There needs to be additional resources to support the forestry division so that they can more proactively keep up with the maintenance issues and/or use of low-maintenance materials such as turf to reduce maintenance demands on the limited number of staff they have. Blue spaces. As highlighted by the annual State of the Lakes presentation, the Lakes and Ponds program is effective at demonstrating this city's commitment to protecting blue spaces, and the overall performance in this objective area is strong. As mentioned previously, though, constituents have raised concerns about dredging certain ponds to improve water quality. Economic growth, tax base expansion. The performance by the Executive Office of Economic Development is exceptional. Policies to advance development opportunities are well explained by the city administration when presented to the council. Business development and job growth. Continued collaboration with Mass Hire, support of biomedical industries growth, the development of Wuji and Green Tech Park promise to support solid employment opportunities in the area. Modern and improved municipal parking. There are challenges with parking in the wintertime which interferes with plowing operations, leading to frustrations amongst constituents due to lack of nearby parking. Parking enforcement after hours and on weekends is limited due to staff availability. The city manager was effective in quickly addressing parking concerns at Roosevelt School, balancing needs of residents and businesses in that area. And I'll touch on that a little later, but Mr. Manager, I appreciate your steadfast support on Roosevelt School. Art and culture, there are a multitude of festivals, public art displays, etc., that improve people's experience of neighborhoods and provide activities for residents. High-performing government and strong financial health. While the creation of 311 was to provide a centralized structure to improve efficiency, there have been challenges with respect to implementation and operation in it, leading to frustration amongst residents. For example, delays in service time, tickets being closed, unclear responses to tickets. I know that's being addressed by the commissioner of that department, and I look forward to much progress there. Technology and integration. The city is actively transitioning to new softwares that will improve efficiency. However, there have been bumps in the road with implementation and transition between platforms, such as residents receiving separate tax bills for real estate and the CPA. Recruitment and retention. Human resource representatives attend job fairs, community events, etc. Creation of professional development opportunities such as the inaugural Management Academy, which progress has been made in reducing the DPW vacancy rate. Work is still needed here as number of vacancies is impacting DPW service delivery. Strong financial health. As previously mentioned, the city manager has steadfastly adhered to the financial integrity plan. Investment in quality education. The city manager was forward-thinking in acquiring parcels around Roosevelt School to increase parking and improve traffic flow. He responded quickly to ensure changes were made so that the new space around the school was utilized to its fullest potential to reduce impact of a surrounding neighborhood. And Mr. Manager, I brought that as one of my top goals to get accomplished in my first term, and you took it seriously, and I appreciate that. The Traffic and Mobility Department has been very helpful in making that plan, that traffic plan at Roosevelt successful, and I truly appreciate it. In closing, Mr. Manager, we're both Union Hill guys, along with Chief Saucy and along with Councilor Bergman, who came from Union Hill as well. And I'm proud that you're my city manager and you're this city's city manager, as I'm proud of, as I said previously, of Chief Saucy leading our police department. I brought up that we're 6 months into the year and a quarter into this term. And I'm still looking, and I want the general public to know, I'm still looking for trailer trucks to be prohibited from using Lake Ave and Hamilton Street, and we have filed a petition to get that started, and the need for the state to get involved, whatever it takes. I want the general public to know that I will do my best to address it, and that the city manager has told me that he is behind it 100%. And also access to Rice Square from Acton Street, people continuously ask me when that's going to happen. So I'm looking forward to the department heads and yourself working together in the next 6 months to a year to make sure that all the items that I've brought forward are addressed, and I believe that to be the case, Mr. Manager. I think you do a great job, a hell of a job, and I'm glad, again, you're our city manager. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. We have Council Rosen, followed by Council Bellata.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Having been around Worcester government for a long time, I've had the opportunity to work with 5 city managers. Now, 2, I was a school committee member back in the days of city manager Jeff Mulford. Probably several people watching on TV, maybe in the audience, never heard the name Jeff Mulford. And after Jeff, I had the opportunity as a school committee member again to work with Tom Hoover. Then in my different time on the city council as a district councilor and at-large councilor, I worked with, of course, Mike O'Brien and Ed Augustus, and now for the last 6 months, Eric Batista. And my career, as you know, was a teacher, so I think if I look back, I was considered a pretty hard marker in those days. But I wasn't a hard marker this time with the manager. It's been 6 months, and, you know, he certainly has done a lot of good things for the city, and I still live and appreciate District 5, beautiful District 5. I know he's done a lot with Councilor Rivera on District 5, and that's where I served the city as for 4 years as that District 5 councilor. One of your strengths, Mr. Manager, not your only strength, but one of them, are going to turn the other way, even if the mayor looks at me. You're not supposed to turn the other way. I know that. I know I'm not supposed to. But there they are. There they are. That's this group here. And many of them I've known for years. Some I don't think I've even met yet, because, you know, I'm returning after 4 years off the council. But you have just a terrific staff, a cabinet, and upper staff members. That goes for most employees in the city of Worcester. They're not all perfect. We know that. We hear it from our constituents. But when I look at the people who run these departments, the department heads, the assistants, commissioners, and so on, I'm amazed how well they do, how much they care for the city of Worcester. the sacrifices they make. So that's one of your many strengths. So I gave you what, as a teacher, would be called a B+ as a teacher. Now, I don't like the kind of 200-point scale that we have, because my B+ would fall under some title. I mean, everyone knows what a B+ is. It's very good. But it falls under the title here of exceeds expectations. As a teacher for over 30 years, I never would have told a student, you exceeded my expectations. That's almost an insult. We should get rid of that category. It should be good, good, very good, fine. That's the job. So my expectations of you have been very high. I wouldn't say you've exceeded them. You've met them because they're very high. But if someone had low expectations of you and you didn't produce, they could give you that score of exceeds expectations. So that's just an aside that I think we should take a look at that category next year. But I don't want to spend my time, my limited time. I think it's limited, although a few of my colleagues showed me maybe it's not limited. So anyway, but I'll still behave, Mr.
You can be limited if you want.
What I want to go through is, because tomorrow starts the new fiscal year, right? Tomorrow's new fiscal year. So what would I hope you would concentrate on during the next fiscal year? And I have 12 things I would like you to concentrate on. First one, negotiate equitable and voluntary pilot payments. You've heard that tonight. You've heard that, I know, for the 6 months I've been on, and I've been pushing the pilot payments since I was pretty much on the school committee. So negotiate equitable and voluntary pilot programs from the city's colleges and universities who use all city services. They use all of them. All these people serve our colleges and universities too, as do all of us. They use the city services without paying for them through real estate taxes. What a good deal. I know it's law, mainly federal law, state law too. I understand that. But there's no law against voluntary pilot payments. And it's time that, and others had said that, we get a little tougher with the colleges and universities. If we have to twist their arm, if we have to make them feel guilty, as they should feel, by not contributing and using the services, so be it. Let's do that. So that's number one. And these aren't in any special order, but that's one out of 12. Number two, finally, renegotiate and resolve the issues with Worcester's 10-year franchise agreement and contract with Charter Spectrum. It expired in October 2023. So it's what, at least 2.5 years so far, 2.5 years. A successive contract needs to include the long-promised senior discount, among others. So Charter Spectrum, it's 2.5 years. Do I have faith that, it's not going to be another 2.5 years? No, I lost faith on this one, but you can surprise me, Mr. Manager, on that. Number three, oppose the hiring and recommend the withdrawal of tax subsidies for developers and their contractors who violate the city's responsible development ordinance. We have an RDO, Responsible Development Ordinance. We all support it. Most of you who were on there voted for it when it originally came in front of the Worcester City Council. But we have to be willing to take away tax subsidies from developers who violate the ordinance or their contractors violate the ordinance. I know you don't want to do that, but it should be done. There should be some penalty for contractors who violate it and developers who violate it. Number four, this one you probably haven't heard before, but I think it's time. It's initiate an educational campaign throughout all municipal government departments. There they are, most of them. Initiate an educational campaign throughout all municipal government departments focused primarily on decreasing the number of lawsuits against the city and the ensuing expensive legal payouts. Tomorrow we start the new fiscal year. I'd love to see you over time sit down with all your department heads, coordinators, all those titles, and commissioners, and stress we want to have during the fiscal year coming up the least number of lawsuits that we've ever had in Worcester. We don't want the lawsuits because over the years, not just now, but over the years, we haven't fared too well on these lawsuits either. It's cost our taxpayers some money. So that's a new one, I think, that you haven't heard before. Number five, with Worcester's present lack of appropriate and affordable housing, come up with a better plan than having Worcester's homeless population simply move their encampments from one wooded area of the city to another. If we were moving encampments into a better situation, I would say that's good. But moving them from Union Hill to Newton Hill to Grafton Hill, anywhere else, doesn't seem to be accomplishing anything. Now, I know we have, the New Day Center opening, and I congratulate you for that. Congratulate the entire city council and all the folks out here, because we all work as a team here for that. But we have a ways to go, so just rousting and moving homeless people from one wooded area to another doesn't help them, doesn't help the city at all. I just think it's maybe a feel-good move on the city, but it's not accomplishing much. Number 6, be better prepared at the start of the winter of 2027 to more efficiently plow our streets and fill the potholes. You've heard that every meeting we have, it seems to come up. Also, take more corrective action to repair the many public streets that seem to be in deplorable condition. It seems like they're always working on our streets, but when you drive the streets, they're in pretty bad condition. But you've heard that for all the years you've been with the administration. Number 7, one I'm familiar with because I used to be on the RTA and I was the chairman of the WRTA board, as you know, Mr. City Manager. And this is partner with the WRTA administration to ensure that the bus routes, frequency of trips, and reliability of the transit authority meet the modern needs of the city's residents and businesses. We have to look at the routes. There's been many suggestions by Tufts University and other universities on how we can improve the routes of the WRTA. I don't think the WRTA listens. They don't make changes. Frequency of trips, dependability. So that's all important. We can do better. I know we can do better. I served for a couple of years as the chairman of that board. So let's get moving on the WRTA. We can improve it. I know we have free fare, and I'm proud of that because I was chairman of the board the first year we came up with the free fare. I'm very proud of that. But free doesn't make it good. Okay, we have to improve. Number 8, use the advice and recommendations of the city's financial, budget, tax, and auditing experts. During the budget, very impressed with the folks who were at the table and spoke to us, and the manager too, about the budget and our financial state. So use their advice and their recommendation, their experience, to merely make a recommendation. Just one recommendation. You may never heard this one before. To the city council that could be considered before it sets the annual dual tax rates. That night, every city manager that I've worked with has sat there quiet. No recommendation about the tax rates. I want to know, what do you think? We have all these choices to make. What does the city manager think? He does a lot with the budget, so why can't the city manager and the financial people advise the city council? We don't have to listen to them, okay? But advise us what they think the tax rate should be to carry out all the work we all want to do as a team. Number 9, since Worcester is the largest city in New England without a movie theater, there's a new one, a movie theater, second largest city in New England, increase efforts to recruit a full-scale commercial megaplex to the city. That's an easy one. We should be out there doing that. But that's an easy one, maybe not the most important on my list. Number 10, this is important on my list. You've heard it from me for months. Find space within Beaverbrook Park to build a new state-of-the-art swimming pool so neighborhood children can learn to swim there. Not so much what do you call it, the spray park, splash park, whatever it's called. I want a swimming pool there. I remember the old one there, and it was packed daily. There's a lot of families and children in that neighborhood who just can't afford to go to the Cape or New Hampshire, Hampton Beach, or York Beach up in Maine, or any other place. So their vacation will be in the city of Worcester. That's fine. It'll be a coast pond in other places, Indian Lake, that's fine. But Beaverbrook Park with a pool, it would be mobbed. Does it cost money? Of course it does. I mean, we can't do much without some, money spent. But it would be utilized and it would be deserved by the kids in that neighborhood. Number 11 out of 12. Review and redesign the structure and traffic patterns of the city's highly congested Lincoln Square, possibly including the reuse of the Johnson Tunnel. But Lincoln Square is a disaster. And I think we all know that. It's no secret. Just drive through there during rush hour. It's a disaster. We can do better at Lincoln Square. We've had, big rotaries, and now we have some, the different lights and so on. And maybe it always has to be a disaster because there's so many roads going in and out of Lincoln Square, but maybe we can do better. I think we can, and we should try. Okay, my last one is certainly a new one. I don't know if you've heard this one, anyone before, but you're going to hear it today, and I know you're going to hear it the next few months. It's considering the overwhelming public opposition. Yep, there's overwhelming public opposition to what I'm about to say. You may know it. To the plan to build 2 roundabouts at the north and south intersections of May and Chandler Streets, adjacent to Worcester State University. I want you to, consider the public opposition, and I want you to support the expected, this is the word I use, expected efforts of this city council, because I think that there's a lot of councilors here tonight on this council who are against this project. Support the expected efforts of the city council to jettison, to end, to stop, use any word you want, this ill-advised project. Maybe we could use the money, 8, 9, I think it's up to 9 million now. By the time we get going, it'll probably be closer to 10 million. If you talk to some experts about roundabouts, they would say this is a dangerous project. Now, I know your folks and people I respect over here, they'll say to you, oh, this is good, and the state people will say it's good. And some people will say, we're getting federal money for this. What are you saying? We're getting federal money. It's not costing us. Let's do it. What? Do it because we're getting money for it? It has to be the right project. This is a bad project. And I think you're going to hear it not only from Gary Rosenstein tonight, you're going to hear it from many of these city councilors. I'm pretty sure of that. And you're going to hear major opposition coming for this project. I think it's a bad project. Many people think it's a bad project. Is it costly for the city taxpayers? I guess not, because it's federal money. Is it the right project for that area? No, it's not. And I thought when we striped it several years ago, I think I might have been the district councilor when we were striping it. Anyway, they were working on that area at the time. But I think it made it a lot better there. It may not be perfect, but it's a hell of a lot better now than it used to be. And now we're going to take this better situation and we're going to make it, I'm telling you, we're going to make it worse. We're going to regret it. You can put a roundabout in a place like Columbus Park. That was silly. I always thought that was silly. It's a small intersection. You need a roundabout. When I grew up, older than anyone in this room certainly, there was a yellow flashing light. That's what we had there, yellow flashing light. No roundabout there. So that's out of all my things, that's number 2. Beaverbrook Pool is number 1. Number 2 is take a look at this project before we do it, because there's still a good way to stop it. And I hope that you'll join the city council in our efforts to stop it. And some are sitting there and say, how do you know we're going to try to stop it? No, maybe not 11-zip. 8-3, 9-2, that's my prediction, to try to stop this. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for your indulgence. Mr. Manager, it's a B+. That's a good score, okay? And thank you for what you do for the city, and you do it quite well. And I turn and I thank all of your administration, not all of them that are here tonight, but the ones who are here tonight, I thank them for doing really a great job on behalf of the residents and business owners of this city. It's easy to criticize. People go online and they criticize all the time, and I'm glad I don't use social media, so I can't read most of it, but you can see a few things in different blogs and so on. And it's so easy to do that. Some are anonymous and some aren't. They let you know who they are. It's so easy to do. But you know what's not easy to do? To be the city manager of the second largest city of New England. Is ours city manager, is he perfect? No. Is he B+? He sure is. He is. And I'm proud to be working with you as the 5th city manager. I don't think I'm going to make it to number 6, though. Thank you, Mr. Manager. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Council Bellata?
Yes, thank you. Excuse me. I want to start by saying, being on the job for 6 months now, it's been, a real, pleasure to work with the city manager and the majority of our staff. I find the city manager and department heads extremely responsive. There are sometimes, of course, issues where things slip through the cracks, and I think one area that can be improved on is, communication on initiatives and constituent issues that I'm bringing to the city manager. I really believe that, again, the staff, quality of life, does an excellent job. The homeless outreach team, Evis and Richie, they do a great job folks, men and women of the DPW, our public safety, police and fire. We have so many folks that work for the city of Worcester that are very dedicated to our community. And I think we're very fortunate to have that. I really believe a lot of the issues we face as a city are, systemic and, are really due to a lack of overarching plans. And that's something that I think the city manager has done an excellent job of sticking to these long range plans. However, that does still come with challenges in the short term. And I think across the board with our departments, I always think we could strive to be, more responsive and communicate when there are issues, when certain issues can't be fixed in a, easy way. We know a lot of the issues that we're facing are very complicated. The housing situation, some of the growing pains that's happening in the city with traffic and parking and new housing going up, and the housing crisis that Worcester and Massachusetts continues to grapple with. What I'd like to do is just briefly go through the individual performance factors. I think the city manager demonstrates excellent hard skills. He has obviously a very broad and in-depth knowledge of all of our departments. Any issue I bring up to the city manager or any subject, he can, right off the top, talk about the history of that project. And obviously that speaks to history of that project or issue. And that obviously is a testament to how long he's been working here in the city. His, management skills, I think the city's managers doing a good job of realigning departments and making sure that departments are working more effectively and efficiently. I think the city manager has great communication skills. I would like to see more city communications that are put out in multi-languages, multilingual, and continuing to provide ASL interpretation where needed. I know that is something that I saw at the State of the City. Very appreciative of the city manager and his staff making sure that people of all abilities are able to have dialogue with the city and understand what's going on. I think, again, the city manager is very adaptable and is looking to innovate things with a lot of the new processes that ISD is doing, a lot of the new processes that whole departments are doing, or creating new departments like DTM. This is, looking ahead and innovating, and I think also does a great job of being adaptable and meeting urgent community needs. I know we don't always get meeting urgent community needs perfect, but I think we do a good job of trying to respond to those. And I know that there's a lot of work being done to improve how we respond to urgent community needs. In accountability, I think the manager is always, very accountable and is upfront about things, and I think provides great context and some background information to the council and to the public when needed. I think there's always room to improve communication there as well, and making sure and improving community engagement too. One thing that does concern me is I think I am concerned about how some of our commissions, the kind of lack of meaningful work that's being done, and I think that we can do better when it comes to empowering and supporting those commissions. The financial management, Worcester is obviously in a very strong financial situation. That's a testament to the city manager and finance staff, and again, all the people that have been working in the city for a long time that are really have that really deeply understand, the city's needs, and we've done very well with making sure we're in good financial standing. I do remain concerned about the diff around Polar Park. Several years we've had to make additional payments, and the diff hasn't been paying for itself, but that is something that, again, is a long-term thing. I'll reiterate that I think the manager's doing good with these long-term goals. We just need to be better at responding in the middle to short term for some of these issues. I think, again, I'll move on to public health and safety. I think we're expanding and doing the best we can, as Councilor King said earlier, with what we're providing to departments. And I think, the city manager does demonstrate the proactive and compassionate vision for addressing the unhoused and trying to get folks the services they need. while also addressing quality of life issues that these folks are dealing with in encampments, and also the broader quality of life issues that encampments do cause. But I think we really do need to increase funding for HHS. We do need a crisis intervention team with WPD. I think there's WPD, I know they're doing more training for recruits, specifically the new class, but we really need to make sure that we have more a crisis intervention team. So I think that's one thing that I'd really like to see in the future. I know the reduction of overdoses, reduction of youth violence, all the work that City Manager Division of Youth Opportunities does, and obviously in partnership with Quality of Life in the Worcester Police Department. Healthy Homes, I will give immense credit to the economic development team for putting together all these programs, like helping seniors with renovating their homes, with providing more information for folks to renovate their homes. I think the reorganization of how ISD is going to be approaching challenges in the city will be helpful. And that critical case team, I think, has been a great way to get all departments on the same page to really address problem properties and properties that are consistently problematic. And I know that doesn't come without challenges too with code compliance. We do have some very, I think, challenging properties, and again, some vacant properties that have been overlooked for a long time, which is one of the orders that I submitted asking for, how can we implement fees on property owners that are not securing and maintaining their properties, because that is what I see throughout District 2 as having a really detrimental effect to our neighborhoods and to quality of life. And that really leads me into affordable neighborhoods and reducing homelessness. I know that this is something that I remain that feeling that the city manager and the city can do a better job with increasing affordable housing units, particularly in new developments. Again, I will say what our city is doing is much better than what other communities are doing. We have the Affordable Housing Trust Fund. We are trying to leverage and have been leveraging funding, through HDIP and for housing. That money needs to be better directed towards affordable housing. And the city needs a Department of Housing Sustainability. And I believe we really need to better balance the number of affordable units that are being built in the city of Worcester, particularly with developments that are getting large tax breaks in conjunction with tax credits from the state. This is tax money from the Commonwealth that's building luxury and market rate apartments. We need to better balance that. I obviously understand we need a mix of all of that, but we need to better balance housing and deliver more housing for folks that are in need now, families, seniors, folks that are working in Worcester that are struggling, and particularly our students. A high percentage of Worcester public school students live in renting households. So we desperately need more affordable housing. The Day Resource Center, it's very exciting to see that that's coming online. I think the city manager's done an excellent job putting that together with CMHA and leveraging the resources to make that a reality. Unfortunately, I do wish it's something that could happen much sooner, but that's a big issue. And again, long term, I think the manager does a great job. With Spectrum, I really think Spectrum needs to go. It's been encouraging to see Verizon putting cable throughout the city. It'd be great to have more public sharing more information with the public on that. I do know that the city manager is constantly in talks with Spectrum. And I, want to stand firm that we need to, get that resolved and try to deliver as much as we can for seniors in those senior, breaks or fees that were not waived. With Section 6 Clean City initiatives, this, continues to be a real challenge, but I absolutely know it's not for a lack of trying. Again, the Quality of Life team, Inspectional Services, they do a great job. They are out there every day. Anytime I call Quality of Life or Inspectional Services, within 24 hours, I have an update. Within 72 hours or even less, the issue's resolved. However, it is just such a challenging thing. I believe it would be great to consider new strategies for, addressing quality of life issues like trash and illegal dumping. I really strongly suggest we start looking at neighborhoods as a whole, not just doing this, piece by piece. I understand that's a better way of tracking things, but sometimes there are just issues that need neighborhoods that need, a solid week of really strong enforcement and work to get things turned around. But I know that, long-term plans too are going to be good for helping that with the clean city's clean team, trying to look at new, opening up the bulk waste drop off is another thing that's huge. And I, believe that enforcement needs to be a big part of that as well. And again, we'll maintain public spaces. I'll agree with Councilor Fruzzola about the tree pits. I know that's going to be, I believe some teams going out next week or to address that. That's something I think really needs to be addressed much sooner in the season. But again, quality of life inspectional services, they demonstrate a really rapid response. And I think quality of life could use additional staff to really help them. But again, I think streets, potholes, that's something this council has talked about, and it's been great to see the city manager respond to that with, the increased funding for DPW. However, I still think there needs to be, figure out ways to improve efficiency, to better staff up and to see what we can do to improve, making sure our streets are addressed in a more timely manner. I believe moving forward, that's going to happen with some of the equipment that DPW is buying and with the new policy we're going to have towards trench work. But again, I think we're addressing things that have not been addressed in a systemic way for a very long time. I think that's why we're still facing some of these issues. And I think that, again, the city manager writing writing the ship with these things and trying to make sure that we think of things in a more holistic and long range manner. Economic growth, obviously the city's growing and it's great to see us increasing our tax base. It should not come at the expense of our neighborhoods and long-term residents and residents that have multi-generational families that are here, right? And I think there's better ways to balance that. Arts and culture. I know it's been unfortunate that we lost, Start on the Street, and this year I know the Caribbean Festival is not happening. I know I think so. Every event that we have, there's a lot of that goes into that on the organizations themselves putting this work together. So it's been unfortunate to see some kind of big events fall by the wayside, but it's been, I think, encouraging this summer and last summer to see new events popping up on the Common in downtown. All the farmers markets that we have throughout the city are great. I think there's always more we can do to try to make it easier for smaller neighborhood groups to access public spaces. I really think would be great. And again, the more we activate these spaces, I think that's a great way to deter illicit, activity as well and make neighborhoods safer. I think, again, our high performance government and strong financial health, the city's in a very good space financially. I really do want to see, I think, with the diversity, equity, inclusion, again, disability, I think needs to be really more of a woven in more to DEI. I believe there's a lot of internal things that are happening. But I would, really like to see more disability inclusion with our youth programming, with other programming throughout the city, and making sure that the Access Advisory Commission, the work and the goals that they're advocating for are taken seriously and are supported. And so that's one thing I would like to see in the coming year. And again, with education, where it's obviously very challenging to build new schools, and we are so many of our grade schools are very old and are in tough shape, and I think that's not an easy task. We're fortunate to have new high schools going up. I really want to make sure that we continue to make sure accessibility and students of all abilities have equal access to education and services and inclusion to activities that all youth in the city and public school students are provided. And I think we have many partners in the city that are willing to help with that work. I think public-private partnership has always been, going back to City Manager O'Brien, something that we've utilized to help respond to issues, and I think that's and respond to community needs. I think that's one thing that we can use our institutions here in the city of Worcester to respond to neighborhood needs, neighborhood programming, seeing how they can invest in things in our neighborhoods that will help to improve pilot payments in that way, having a better, a stronger impact in our neighborhoods. So I'm really pleased with working with the city manager and the city administration. I still believe there is work to be done, and there needs to be more, better communication, streamlining work, and communicating with council too, whether it's the answer we want to hear or not, whether it's, the answer the community wants to hear or not. I think just being more transparent and having more communication always helps. But I really appreciate, I'm proud to be working with the manager. We're both North High guys, and I think it's really great to see us working together and the rest of the council, and I think that's one thing Gary Rosen said he wanted to have, Councilor Rosen, excuse me, and I absolutely agree, have some goals or more clear directives. I think it'd be great for us as a council to have some, clear goals that we're all working on as well. And I'm absolutely looking forward to having that and doing that work and working with all our at-large and other councilors on that work. But that's my time, and I appreciate it, and looking forward to seeing how some of the work that's the work we're doing now is going to come to fruition for next winter, especially with winter snow plowing. So I appreciate it.
Thank you. Next up, we have Council Mitra.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I want to begin thanking all those who are present here waiting for this late to listen to all of us. Also, all the commissioners, all the chiefs, and everyone who really works hard for this city. I mean, it is so precious to have you all on our side. One thing I know that us councilors, Mr. Mayor, city manager, city clerk, all of us, I think, at the end of the day, our focus is Worcester. That's all we want to see, that how Worcester comes out to be one of the best cities in the nation. And for that, we work hard, and we try to see that we achieve the goal by working together. Now, I remember I came in 1982 in Worcester, and that time, Centrum was getting inaugurated when Frank Sinatra came in here to open the Centrum. And I know from there to now, city has changed a lot. Those days, if I had to listen to Frank Sinatra, I would use the turntable to put the plate and run the music. Now, if I ask to listen to Frank Sinatra, my son says, use the cell phone. So that has been the major difference. But one thing that has not changed in Worcester, I've seen it, is the fellow feeling that we all have. That hasn't changed. We all love Worcester. We have the fellowship, the neighborhood feeling, no matter what, no matter who says, how much criticism people give, but they are all focusing on one thing, city of Worcester. We want to see it to be a better city. With that, I would say that, Mr. Manager, you have a job which is not very easy to do. I mean, you are a family person. I have known you as a good son. I have seen you as a good husband. I've seen you as a good father. And I want to extend our sincere thanks to your family for giving us allowing us to work hard for us and doing the best you can do. And I really want you to extend our sincere thanks to Mrs. Batista and your lovely two children for giving us having as an asset to the city, I would say. But, I see the city is really evolving into something different. Since 1982 through now, city has changed a lot. I remember in those days, after 5 o'clock in downtown, it was a dead town. There wasn't anything that was happening. But now, after 5 o'clock, you don't find a place to park. I mean, it's been a huge change in our city. It has been in the limelight. It's a vibrating city. It's a city where things are happening. And we have to see that we take it from this to something different. I don't want to be satisfied with what we are. I always vision that as a good leader, our job is to promote our city, to make it to be one of the best cities. Not even one of the best cities, the best city in this nation. And together, working together, we can make it happen. I think we can accomplish it. It's not that we're a small city, we cannot do it. We can, but we have to have that tenacity, we have to have that attitude, we have to have that focus that we want this city to be known so well that people will think this is a model city. And that's what I envision. That's what I want to see, that our government, our administrators put it together in such a way that we achieve that day, so we can all share the success of our city's status. And that's with that, I would say, you know, it's so many things to applaud that our city has achieved. We're getting businesses coming in here. I was there the other day at Workers Credit Union. They opened on the other day, and I was telling them that I have been in the council. This is the first time I'm serving the city, so blessed I feel. And this is about 25 weeks I have been in this council, and I have been to about 25 ribbon cutting ceremony. I mean, that's one a week. That's something applaudable for this city of this status. I have gone to about 4 or 5 groundbreaking ceremony. I generally don't like to miss any of those because I get so excited to see what is happening in the city. I see the affordable homes are getting built, although we may have to think differently about what is affordable. People are still saying it's not affordable. So we have rooms to look at it. I applaud for what you're doing for our unhoused people, to giving them the day resource center. I really like that it happens, and it's probably going to be happening very soon. I see the effort to do the Clean City project. So there are so many things that I think I say that you are really bringing your heart into it to make the city look better. But at the same time, nothing goes, you know, if we really look at it, there are certain things that we need to probably improve. So when I evaluated your situation, working with you, hearing from the neighbors, residents, constituents, I generally like to go to most of the neighborhood meetings because I'm learning. I go there to listen to them, hear from them, see what they want. And that voice, through me, I bring to you so that you can act upon it and make them happy. That's the goal that I have. I think that's my job. And if I bring some orders, if I bring some suggestions, and it doesn't get done, then I think that there's no point for me to be here. So I think there is a relationship we have between our residents, me, the councilors, and the manager, and the government. So our job is really all interrelated. I look at it that way. So even though there are so many things happening which are applaudable, which gets a lot of credit to everyone, those who are here, your government, I think there are things that I feel needs to be changed, needs to be looked at, needs to have a different approach. Our transparency needs to be much better. People say all the time, I come here and say, we don't know what is happening. We don't want them to give that chance. We want to make it very open. I have said in the beginning when I came that let's have a spreadsheet, let's have a flow chart, that all orders, what is happening, let them go, let our residents go and see, well, nothing has happened to this order, that's fine. But they have an opportunity to go and see. We are a highly technological city and state. We can achieve all those. Having a flow chart where the orders are, making it transparent, is something that we need to do. I would think that everything that I'm saying, which needs to be improved, is taken as a constructive criticism. Because, as I said, you, I, every one of us, I only focus one thing, W, City of Worcester. That's my job, that's my role, to see that this city is not only just a city like we are today, but it's much better tomorrow. And for that, I would give you some suggestions that I think should be incorporated in your government, in your policies. Now, we need to be proactive. Now, we had a public works meeting today, and we had so many side roads, sidewalks to be resurfaced, roads to be paved, potholes to be taken care of. All those orders or petitions are coming from someone in the residence. I think we should have our own approach to go and find them out. I've said that in the beginning, that there are technologies that you can go and find how many potholes are there and fix it. I think we should have a SMART goal. I've said it from all along from the day one. I'm a business owner. I don't do anything until I have a SMART goal. And SMART, as I have said, stands for specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, time-bound. These 5 elements should be there no matter what you do. Potholes. Let's have so many potholes done in so many days. I just have an article that I got, which is in the New York website. The mayor has written here saying, it says that Mayor Mamdani fills 100,000 potholes in first 100 days. Of course, you can say New York. They've got a $115 billion budget. We have only $1 billion. That's not the point I'm making here. What I'm trying to say that they use the SMART goal phenomena. SMART, specific, potholes, that's specific. Let's have 100,000, that's measurable. They knew it was attainable, so they used 100,000. They knew it was relevant, that it needs for the city. It's a harsh winter there too. So they wanted to fix it, and they fixed the date that within 100 days, I want this be done. I want you to be more stronger. I want you to put that kind of order to all those who are working, that I want this be done, make it attainable. I'm not saying that let them do something which is beyond their ability. Find out what is able, but put a plan so that we know that in next 100 days, we're going to have these things done. I requested at the end of the budget day, if you remember, a loan of $20 million so that there is a specific few roads, major arteries could be fixed. I was denied, and respectfully I accept that because it could not be done. I think we need to have our participation with you before you do your budgeting, so that we can say something. I know we sit one-on-one basis, but that is not officially recorded anything. I like to see that we have a chance, and I'll probably bring some order to attend that, see if we can do it. But I think we should be able to give you some ideas of your budgeting situation. So I think we need to have some of the changes. We take long time in getting something done. We know that because we have a process. I bring in an order, it goes to a department, it goes to a standing committee, they meet, my order comes, the standing committee approves, comes back to the council, council votes, and then it goes back to the department who is responsible for it, and then it sits in the list. And then we choose if we have money to do it or not, and then do it. Now, our process is not known to our residents. They don't know. They say how long it takes to take out a stop sign, how long it takes to just do this. I think we need to let them know. We need to, I remember on a one-on-one meeting, I mentioned to you that can we have some kind of YouTube or some kind of seminars in our library where the department heads can come and say that, okay, DPW, this is how the process goes. This is how the DTM works, so that people have an opportunity to know how our processes are. If we just tell them that we have a process, it takes a long time, they just think it's just a stop sign to remove, how long it takes. But it does. But if we educate them, they probably will be satisfied. They probably will know, oh, I see. Yeah, we cannot do anything illegally, so they have to be educated. So I think you have to be upfront telling them, giving them speeches or some kind of lecture, some kind of YouTube in our website. So I would request you to really look into those matters so that which are required to be important for us to be successful. Some time back I had said that I'd like to have some LED lights in front of Worcester, in the City Hall, in the back of City Hall, and use the talent of our WPI students or our Worcester technological students who can be used. I think our relationship, our partnership with private businesses, our partnership with college presidents must be much more stronger. You should bring them under one roof and talk to them and say that, what can you do for us? I'm not saying the pilot program and all those are good, but rather than asking for money, make them feel that you are the owner of this city as well as much we are. What can you do for us? We need your support. And see what they can do. I think the approach should be in such a way that all college presidents feel that I need to do something. Our manager is asking me to do something. Let them come back and say that, okay, we have decided we'll do this. Or at least use their intellectual wealth. But they are all students, are so so much talented, so much intelligent. We can ask them to do a lot of things for our city, which I think you are trying, which are very good. But I think we have to be more approaching that way, or creating our relationship with private partners as well as with the presidents of these colleges. We are blessed to have so many colleges here. So those are some of the things that I thought we must look into changing in our process of government process, so that things can get sooner, things can be approached properly. I know you wrote in your report that you have a reserve of about 10% of the operating budget. I'm not quite understanding that. If you have 10% of the operating budget, which is $1 billion, that means $100 million is there in the reserve? Is that, or I'm not understanding something? If you have that, then why couldn't I get the $20 million that I asked for to fix something that impacts everyone every day driving their cars? So I wanted to know that. What is that? You did write in your report. You also said that one of the basic foundation of education is in doing the building. Yeah, we're giving a lot of money to the school. I understand education is important. I'm one who loves to see that education is a primary thing for our community. But the foundation of education is not the building. Foundation of education should be infusing the knowledge in our students. When I looked at our students, Worcester Public School students, their performance is below average of the Massachusetts standard. It's not acceptable. We're going to have huge buildings, but if we don't have the standard of our students at the distinctive level, then it's not acceptable. I don't want to borrow $350 million and see the standard of our education is not as high as I would expect. I think I would like to see that our students are more distinguished because of the knowledge they have. Maybe we bring more teachers. Maybe we pay the teachers more. Maybe the students' ratio, teachers' ratio is different. So I think some of the things that I think we need to think and change to make our city to be the best city. And that's my goal. You know, when I got elected, someone called me. Someone called me and said, Councilor Mitra, congratulations to you. But I want to give you one advice. And it stuck in my heart. And the advice was, he said, do good if you can, but for God's sake, do something. And you know, it stuck in my mind. Every day, I come to the council meeting thinking that I got to do something. I'm here for one term, 2 years only. This year, half the year is gone by. Next year, I know everybody will be busy knocking the door, raising the funds, and canvassing for the campaign again, those who are running again. I'm not sure what I will do, but I'm not thinking that. Because I am thinking these 2 years, I have to deliver the job that I'm given. I have to be extraordinarily responsible for what I'm elected. I told my family that at the end of my 2 years, I want to see that everyone who voted for me, they say that it was not a waste. So I want to see that we perform in such a way that we have gotten something done. And that's why I suggested the other day about $20 million, so we can at least start every year, maybe 5 streets. And street is a problem. You can't say that, no, it's not that bad. You can give excuses that we're a huge city, it takes time. We live in an area where it snows. Yeah, it does, but we have to be ready for it. I know Councilor Bergman had said before the winter started, let's be ready for a bad storm, if you remember. And I think that's what we should think, that we have not experienced it for the first time. We know our city. We know our neighborhood. We know our community. We know what we are in. Let's prepare for it. And we are, all of us are in together. I'm not criticizing. I'm trying to make it better. But it may sound like I'm criticizing. I love you. What you do, as I said, with your family, with your children and everything, giving so much time, it's not easy. I wouldn't take that job if I had those two little children to take care. But you have the guts to do it, and your family is supporting you. And I admire and I salute them. But at the same time, I think we all should see what can we do to make this city the best city in this country. And that's my goal. So next 1.5 years that I come here in city council meeting, I would be bringing in orders. I would be talking to you. I would be talking to every councilors with the same theme. Let's work together for the city of Worcester. Let's make Worcester the best in the nation. Thank you.
Thank you. We have Councilor Ojeda.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll try to be brief. I told Mo I'll try, so we'll see. But first of all, as we know, this evaluation is not only about the city manager. It's about so many departments and individuals he's responsible for. I want to say thank you to all of you. I appreciate working with each department and how committed they are in doing the jobs and helping me support the residents of District 4. You have always said yes. Most importantly, being able to have tough conversations that are needed. These conversations come from working with the residents in District 4 and being able to have tough conversations with, all of you in each department with a lot of the concerns and issues that the residents have that I have to bring forward to the city manager, who, him and I, we do a lot of work, in our meetings. And one of the things that impresses me, because as a administrator in the schools, my teachers are experts in their classrooms, and that's what the city manager is about. You all are experts, and that's what he continues to say. You are the experts in your areas. He has full confidence and relies on you, so therefore we rely on you as well. So again, thank you. From phone calls to emails to neighborhood meetings, and true story, most recently braving the tornado warning that we had with Commissioner Raleigh with DTM. We had a neighborhood meeting and he was there. He said, Counselor, tornado warning. I said, okay, I'll see you there. And he showed up. So that was great. So a lot of the stuff I want to discuss when it comes to the evaluations is more of, some areas I feel as though that we need areas of improvement. But these are areas that work has been done, but they can always get better. When it comes to management skills, for me, there will be less complaints if tasks were completed in a more professional and timely manner. And again, a lot of this stuff is coming from conversations I have with the residents, the neighborhood meetings. So it's not just solely me. I'm the voice of my district. And also waiting on certain reports to get back so I can provide more support for our residents. When it comes to communication skills, I think this is something we all need, right? We can always get better. And the city manager has actively listened and follows up on requests as discussed. Public communication in some instances can be improved and made more clear to better assist residents and others. Moving to ownership of outcomes. The city manager demonstrates ownership and accountability and acts on feedback provided to address shortfalls. Many times here, the 3 years I've been here, he has taken it. He has said, we will do better, I will do better, and I've seen it. I've seen it in our district where our sidewalks are looking better, the streets are looking better, the infrastructure is much better, and the parks in District 4 are coming along as well. So that work alone means a lot to the residents because it shows the conversations that I'm having are beneficial, and the meetings that I'm having with residents are going a long way. So I appreciate that. Under public health and safety, mental health and substance use disorder. We need to see more coordinated effort in areas within our city that have seen a lack of services and support to individuals in need. We need to create better partnerships with the agencies providing mental health and substance use support and services that are impactful and provide better outcomes. You know, District 4 has a lot of these agencies that provide support for these individuals. But to me and to the city manager and to your team is, what are we doing and how are we making sure that we are getting the outcomes that we want, not just what they feel as though are the numbers that they're hitting, but are we making sure that these agencies are reaching the outcomes that we are expected to have? You know, there's a lot going on in our city and again in District 4, and there's a lot of agencies, but I'm not sure if there's really a coordinated effort within those agencies. And in the meeting I had today is, how do we address that? How do we get all these agencies that are within a mile radius to come together and tell us and show us what is the work they're doing? So that's something that I want to push upon you, the city manager and the team, to make sure that we are having these conversations to make those changes that we see, especially that we see on Main Street, but it has to be consistent and something that has to happen year round, not just when something happens. So that's a challenge that I have to you, city manager. Under the outreach to unhoused individuals, I feel as though you've been doing a great job. You've kept a keen eye on our unhoused population, and you have demonstrated strong leadership in developing and supporting multiple housing initiatives that focus on all types of unhoused individuals: elderly, teens, women, families, substance use, etc. So that is major work that has to be done and is being done, and I appreciate that. One of the most things I appreciate the most is also you making sure that I'm in those meetings, and that's important, that you reach out to me and say, listen, there's a meeting coming up in your district, it's important you're there, or I reach out to you and say, hey, I want to be a part of this, part of that, and you really get me in, and you're staying true to your word of, and I said this before, of us doing the work together. This is important for me and for our individuals. Clean city initiatives. This was interesting for me because I know the work that's being done, right? And I gave it a 3. Dan, sorry, don't be mad at me, but and the reason why I say Dan is because Dan and I have been doing a lot of work. But my major concern is that's the one issue I believe all councilors receive is the cleanliness in the trash, and it's not a knock on the department. It's not a knock on any departments. It's more of, we got to find ways to do better. And I challenge the city manager on this one, is more of, how do we get more residents to be more involved in the initiatives and all the hard work that the department is doing? Because time and time again, we're getting phone calls about littering and trash. And sometimes it's the people that live in the neighborhood. And we just need to educate them and get them more involved on how they can be more involved in the cleanliness of our city. I think that's important. I'm not blaming the residents. I'm just saying that we could do a better job helping our own neighborhoods and making sure we provide the cleanliness that we need in our district. Economic growth. Under arts and culture, there's a lot of things that are going on, but it just seems like they're only certain areas. They're not within the areas and the neighborhoods that I grew up with. They're not connected with some of the neighborhood network centers. So I would like to see more outreach efforts from that department to be able to, be a part of more. How do we create some more block parties? How do we create some more movie nights within the neighborhoods versus, down here? A lot of people probably can't make it down here, or parents don't feel safe sending the kids downtown. How do we do that within the neighborhoods throughout the city and where kids are just hanging out? So that's something that I really would be a part of. We've done a couple of those on Pleasant Street at Peace Park. That was a pretty cool event. We had it during the Halloween week, and we had a really good turnout. But again, that's something that I would love to see more of within the city or throughout the city as well. And Mo, like I said, I was going to be quick. And lastly, I just want to say again, thank you to the city manager. I know this isn't easy work. I mean, you have 11 bosses, per se, and you have a whole city that requires you to show up every day. And like Councilor Mitra said, your family is, is the one that allows you to come to work every day and gives you that strength. and says, you know, Dad, have a good day, you know, good luck. Be back home on time for my game, or get to the baseball game on time. So no, I appreciate that. Me as a father and of kids and play sports and all that, and as an educator and all the work I do, I know it's not easy, and I want to say thank you. And again, thank you to the department. You guys, everyone I look at, it's funny because I think I've probably spoken to every single one of you about something, and you've always come through and you've always helped. You know, a lot of people have a perception of the work's not being done. It's being done. And that may not be done as fast as you want it to be done, but I see it. I know our residents see it. But we just got to continue doing the work, continue being out there. And, you know, one other thing a lot of residents say is they would love to see the city manager more, you know, and I know we've had that conversation. And, you know, attend some more neighborhood meetings and be involved, you know, outside. So, again, thank you to all of you. I appreciate the work you're all doing, and it's just, like Councilman Mitra said, you know, it's for the W, for Worcester. Let's continue making this the #1 city. Thank you.
Thank you. Council Toomey?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Manager, this performance review is also reflective of the hard work done by every one of the city's employees, the department heads, and every man and woman who is under them. It's incredible the amount of work that is done every day, and I don't think that people truly understand it. Your State of the City address had 33 pages of accomplishments, and that's truly laudable, of the things that have been accomplished by everybody. And a lot of people don't know about it. It's communication, and we need to do more of that and make sure that we're getting the good stuff out there. But this also has been a very challenging year. There are more unknowns to come that may impact our economy. You've learned to pivot and redirect when there's a challenge presented. Your data-driven focus has enabled us to see clear pictures of success and areas that need improvement. So our city continues to face challenges with housing, inflation, substance use disorder, mental health issues, chronic and acute homelessness, aging housing stock, the high cost of living, and issues with, dare I say it, potholes. All require sustained attention and measurable progress. There needs to be greater urgency in responding to council orders, as my colleagues have said, and constituent concerns. Residents expect the government to act efficiently, and delayed responses can undermine public confidence sometimes. I would be remiss if I didn't mention the recent stabbing incident on the Common, and it should have been addressed, I think, in a more decisive and timely manner. The increase in our Worcester's unhoused population has been linked to correlate with the decrease in Boston's unhoused population. And I've heard this anecdotally from people who are out in the street dealing with these folks. These are not people that have been in our community for years. These are a lot younger group of people. They're more aggressive and more challenging to work with. And so we have more of them. We're doing an awful lot of things to help our unhoused. There's no question. But we've got a different type of population, and it's impacting our community. We need an all-hands-on deck with this issue. I've advocated, as you know, for regional funding support and more stringent set of consequences. We have people committing serious crimes, being arrested and not even given docket numbers. We need everybody at the table, the courts, the community partners, religious and educational entities, to brainstorm and provide solutions, because together we should be able to address this. But with everyone not at the table, we won't. And I know that you're working very hard to try to do that, and we need that to happen. And while we've seen a significant decrease in crime overall in the city, thanks to the good work of our police department, this situation on the Commons brought to light that the fact that the people do not feel safe, not that we are safe and that there's been a major reduction in crime, they don't feel safe because of image. So we need to make sure that they know that we are doing something about this issue, and I know that you're working hard on that. On housing, I applaud the senior tiny homes, and you should be very proud of the largest office-to-residential project in the Commonwealth, as the first condos that will be accessible as well as the first condos that will be accessible for first-time ownership by lower-income families. That's huge. Boston's not doing that. You're doing it. We're doing it here in Worcester with all of the employees working on all of these things. That's a great thing. And we need to do more of it. It's never enough, right? Never enough. Budgeting and fiscal management, inclusive of economic development, all play a role in our future stability. Our bond rating continues to be stable and enviable. I would be remiss not to include, again, as I did last year and the year before, a request that economic development also includes the Route 20 corridor. Its location alone, close to the Mass Pike, 140, 146, Route 9, Route 20, makes it extremely desirable for future businesses. Personally, I'm so grateful for the movement for a new Burncoat. All three of my children graduated from there almost 2 decades ago, and we needed a new building then. And so I will also advocate for the much-needed replacement for East Middle, even though it may be more than 15 years away. But we have to start somewhere, right? Our public safety is paramount to ensure quality of life for all, and I'm grateful for the efforts to break down barriers and be inclusive of the community by all our departments. I know firsthand how great CIT training is for all of our officers and what a valuable tool it is for our officers to do their job and build trust in our community. Embedding social workers with our CIT team, which we do have out on the street, has been most helpful. Thank you for supporting continued classes in police and fire academies. There needs to be an effort to focus on support and retention of our public safety department personnel. And while I'm grateful that our new police class is graduating next week, we still need to focus on retention. There are other departments that are offering $8,000 bonuses and more supportive environments and, frankly, appreciation from the public. We're currently down approximately 17 positions in addition to approximately 20 IOD and military deployments with the class that's graduating next week and one coming. There are 80 police officers eligible to retire over the next 2 years, and many are considering transferring. However, I'm encouraged and grateful that the Home Rule petition that I first filed for in '23 to raise the maximum age to become a police officer has been signed into law this afternoon. The council voted for this unanimously in 2024, and now in 2026, it's finally happening. Long time coming. And it's sad that we're excited about this because this is really, it's like putting a thumb in the dike, right? It's sad. So I'm very grateful to the legislatures, especially Senator Moore, who really led this, who really pushed this. I appreciate the new fire class that just graduated, but want to point out that there are only 106 people on the current civil service list that are eligible for the next class. There used to be thousands, both police and fire. There used to be thousands of people on the civil service list. Staffing is still below the 454 authorized positions by '24, although we are at a current high complement of 430, so that's good. But emergency communications and inspectional services are both close to being fully staffed. Alert Worcester finally up and running, and I just want to take a moment to tell the public that they need to re-enroll. Please, it's not good unless everyone's enrolled in it. It's great. I get text messages all the time, so it's a big plus. I'm thrilled to see that South Division has started construction, and we have a plan and starting much-needed upgrades and repairs in police headquarters. Providing dignified environments for work for all of our employees is incredibly important. I'd like to see a long-term plan for replacement of the headquarters. Again, that's 15, 20 years out, but got to start somewhere. There needs to be greater efforts to address the impact of sewage overflow on Lake Quinsigamond and the Blackstone, and I hope to finally move forward with a comprehensive invasive species plan. Public works infrastructure is always in motion. I hear about potholes wherever we go, and while this is New England, the home of the freeze-thaw, we need to look at more innovative solutions for streets and sidewalks. And cleanliness of our city continues to be an issue. I'd also like to see a plan to rejuvenate City Hall, as we're looking a little tired these days. So maybe a coat of fresh paint doesn't cost a lot of money, a little steam cleaning, right? But its image, right? It's what we all see and feel. As my colleagues have mentioned, we would like a resolution of appropriate pilot initiatives completed this year. I know everyone spoke about that. I'm not going to pontificate any further. I appreciate the work involved in managing a city the size and complexity of Worcester. This evaluation is intended to identify opportunities for improvement so that the administration can better meet expectations of both council and our residents. I want to thank you and all of your city departments and the employees in those departments for the incredible work that they've done this past year. There have been several awards won for excellent service by employees and departments. I know there are many unsung heroes, and I want every employee to know how much that they're appreciated for their dedication and professionalism every day. I appreciate you, Mr. Manager, and your love and dedication for the city. And as Councilor Mitra said, thank you for your family sharing us with you, as well as all of your employees' families as well. I gave you a score of 171. I think that you are doing a great job. You yourself says, I can always improve, so can we. And working together, I do believe that this city is going to continue to improve and do great things and exceed everybody's expectations. Thank you. I was a lot shorter than everyone else.
No.
No?
No.
No, Louis? All right, okay.
We'll speed by 4 seconds.
Council Bergman?
Now I got a challenge. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Let me just start out by saying I do appreciate not only all the work that the city manager does and the time he puts into his job, all his department heads, all the employees of the city hall. I may not always agree with everything all the time, but it goes without saying that it doesn't mean that I don't believe everybody's heart is into making Worcester 100% as good as Worcester can be. Before I get into the evaluation, let me also say that I learned a number of years ago that the best way to feel the pulse of what the residents of the city of Worcester really feel is not necessarily in this room. We have people that come to this room and rarely compliment any of us. And that's a small minority of people. But when you go to the neighborhood watch meetings, the supermarkets, the ballpark, family outings, your religious institutions, you really get a sense for how people feel about the city. And it's a very optimistic, upbeat sense. And that includes yourself, Mr. City Manager, because they wouldn't feel that way if you weren't doing a very good job. Let me also say that you can't get around the argument, some try, but they can't really respond to the fact that if they try to say Worcester has all these issues and it's not a very well-run city, how do you get around the argument that Worcester's grown by more than any other city in the last decade and it continues to grow at an astronomical rate? People want to be here. And, some respects, it's a plus and a minus when it comes to property values, but you can't negate the fact that people want to be in the city of Worcester. And I'm not going to say it's because of Worcester City Council. It'd be nice if that was true, but I'm going to say it's because of the city manager and all the people that work for you that do the great job that they do. And Worcester is a great place to live. I'm a lifelong resident, and I can't imagine wanting to live anywhere else. So let me just get into my evaluation. I'll try to be brief. Let me start off with individual performance. I spent the most time on this category in trying to be fair about my evaluation. And let me just say, at the end of the day, the evaluation you're going to get from me, Mr. City Manager, is better than I gave you last year, and it's going to be in the exceeds expectations and almost to the next level. But there are challenges we all have, and I think it's fair, and that's what the point of this evaluation is, to try to talk about how we can all do better. So under hard skills, let me just say that I've witnessed what I think is a very positive evolution of your confidence in speaking in public and into neighborhood groups. And I think you do present a very good image. Not that you didn't in the past, but I think you're much more confident with getting out and about. I don't judge how often you get out and about. I can just say that in the opportunities I've had to hear you speak in public, you present a very positive image, and it's important for all of us to present a positive image regarding the city that we represent, particularly you, Mr. City Manager, and I appreciate that. Management skills. This was the one that, of all the categories in this whole evaluation, I had the hardest time coming up with a score, and let me just say why. Management skills, let me read the category. City manager exhibits excellent decision-making abilities, balancing long-term goals with short-term needs while ensuring alignment with city priorities, effectively delegating tasks and providing the necessary guidance and support for success. So the issue I had and I wanted to highlight on my evaluation is sometimes it's not easy to measure the success of different departments. It's easier with police. What's a crime? It's easier with the fire department. What's the response time? But how do you measure that with DPW, for example? Is it the number of potholes you fill? Is it how quickly snow gets removed? But I do think, despite the fact that there's not easy metrics, there needs to be some metrics. Because throwing money at the problem may solve it, it may not. But without having metrics, we really don't have any way to know that. I've tried, with respect to snow removal, to suggest that maybe the number of complaints is a metric. I've got pushback that maybe that's inherently problematic and not a fair way to do it. I accept that. But there's got to be ways that we can measure the performance of our departments with metrics, particularly those departments where metrics aren't easy to recognize. There's also the issue of city priorities aligning with what residents want. You know, it's interesting to me, Council Rosen had said something earlier. The way I view, that I think it's worth repeating in the way that I'm about to. I view, and I've been here long enough now to have a good sense of how I think government in the city works. The residents elect us, we're elected to represent what they want, we then are your bosses, your boss, I should say, and we tell the city manager what the residents are telling us they want. And it's up to the city manager to make sure the departments reflect that. You know, we sat here a couple weeks ago, and there are departments that I don't think easily recognize what the residents' priorities are. So back to what Councilor Rosen said. My experience, my conversations in the supermarkets, in the crime watches, the neighborhood meetings, houses of worship, my neighborhood, out in the street, those conversations with residents, not those here, but with residents in the broader sense, they don't want dramatic traffic changes without the opportunity to have input. They don't want it. You talk to the people, we're talking about the changes proposed at Worcester State University, they don't want it. Now, does that mean the changes are bad? Not necessarily, but it means that our job is to represent what they want and to tell you what they want. And your job as the boss of your departments is not for the departments to tell you what they want, but for you to tell the departments what you're hearing the residents want. And I think in some ways that has gone a little bit askew. Let me also give an example, and no surprise to, I'm sure, some of the department heads and people listening. People want to get from point A to point B in the way they go about doing it, which 85%, 90% of the people do it with cars. They don't want car lanes reduced. They don't mind bicycle lanes if it doesn't come at a cost to car lanes. Congestion, I heard a few weeks ago, is a good thing. How is it a good thing when you're trying to get to work and you got to be there on time? How is it a good thing when you're trying to get your kids to school? How is it when you're trying to get to a doctor's appointment or bring an elderly family member or friend or neighbor to a doctor's appointment? It's not a good thing. Is it easy to fix? No, but you don't wash your hands of it saying it's a good thing. At least that's not what the residents tell me. So I would like, Mr. City Manager, to re-emphasize the fact that the departments need to reflect what we hear from the residents, not what they feel should be done in the city of Worcester. And it's your job to make sure that that message continues to get through. Let me just move on. So I had a hard time because I don't think that's fair to you to fault you for that. You only are responding to what your department heads tell you. But I'm suggesting to you that when it comes to those categories, more and more people are moving to the city of Worcester. They're not moving here with bicycles, they're moving here with cars. We also have 6 months of a difficult New England climate Worcester is known for. They're not riding their bikes. We have a WRTA system that's been mentioned before in Council Rosen's top 12 list, and it's not functioning well. The choices people have are limited in their automobiles, and we can't continue to make that more difficult. With respect to accountability, you've always been accountable, that I viewed, to issues that you feel you could have done better with, and I respect you for that, and I think that's a great show of leadership. A great leader takes responsibility for recognizing that not everything always goes perfect. With that leadership, Mr. City Manager, I would just like to suggest that moving forward over the next year, then we have a new budget cycle, we start serious contemplation of how we, it's been discussed earlier, get our police complement, not to be equal to where it's at now, but to reflect the fact that we're a larger city than Springfield and Providence, yet we have less police officers per population. We need to not only maintain the number of police officers we have, we need to bring that level up to what I would say be close to 500, at least by the year 2030 or perhaps sooner. With that needs to come a police station that's respectful of the job that the people that work in it have. Moving on, debt management, cost control, and efficiency. I understand, and I think my colleagues do too, how well you know the budget. And I think when the budget gets out of $1 billion, and you and I have had a conversation the last few years, it's going to get to $1 billion. Well, it has. I think what people like to see is what are we doing for cost savings? And there may have been, and may be, many things that we do to save costs, but we need to get that message out more. When it comes to bond rating, it goes without saying our financial stability, despite having taken some heavy hits, including the Holden lawsuit, which was mentioned earlier. Don't believe it was our fault, and more of that will get out to the public. Despite taking some heavy hits, our bond rating remains at a AAA rating, which is almost perfect, and it's certainly as good as it gets, and that's a large way reflective of your leadership. When it comes to, I'm just going to highlight things that I have taken notes on. I'm not going to go through every item. Reduction of youth violence, reduction of gun violence. I think the statistics speak for themselves. I can only say that I'm not sure where things are at in our schools. I think there's less transparency there than I would like. But when it comes to what I know, our statistics that are presented to us, it seems like a reduction of youth violence, a reduction of gun violence has been very successful. Not only kudos to you, but also to the Worcester Police Department for that. Access to quality parks, I think is important, and I think we've by and large done a good job. I think the separation of Parks Department from DPW was an excellent decision, and I think it's worked out well. I will say, and I have to say it because I've brought up this issue so many times, I do think and would like to see Elm Park corrected, fixed, whatever term you want to use, quicker than it has been. It's an historical landmark. It's a beautiful park, and when I drive by it and I see that it looks like swampland, it really tugs at me. I understand you've always been communicative to me, as has Commissioner Antonelli, of the challenges to fix that, but it shouldn't take forever, and hopefully it'll get done sooner than later. Arts and culture, let me just say that I think we could do more with the arts and culture. Worcester has a great history, and this is our 250th anniversary as a nation, and I would have liked to have seen us do more. I know it's often not easy to coordinate that. I have asked in the past, or suggested, as I'm sure other colleagues have as well, that we do something to recognize Isaiah Thomas's first reading of the Declaration of Independence in New England on the front of our building, and perhaps one day soon we can get a statute to recognize that. When it comes to, I'm going a little bit out of order because I'm trying to finish up, increased efficiencies in operation. Let me just say, I'm going to go back to our snow removal example. We had a colleague that was on the council until last term who remains very good friends with most, if not all of us. One of her favorite expressions, and I think it's perfectly appropriate for what I'm about to say, is you can't snow the snowman. So I think some of us know who that colleague was. And I'm never going to believe that having a supervisor and an inspector, double layer of pay and supervision to make sure a plow operator is doing their job correctly is effective. I'm just not going to believe that, or efficient, or cost efficient in any way. So that's the one critique I would say, in increased efficiencies in operations. That, in my opinion, really needs to be looked at. It seems duplicitous and perhaps a waste of taxpayers' money. And let me just finish by saying, Mr. City Manager, as I said when I started, I gave you a score that was higher than last year. It exceeds expectations. You've always kept a level of communication open when I need to reach you. You instill confidence in the vast majority of the residents of the city of Worcester, as well as all of us. You've devoted and taken time away from your family and your children to do the job as best as you can. It's not an easy job. You know, social media, people can get on there, identify or not identify themselves and take jabs at you and all of us because they're not in a position of making tough decisions and they don't have to account for who they are and what they're saying. But at the end of the day, you have to account for who you are and the decisions you make. And from my perspective, and it sounds like the vast majority of my colleagues, you're making the right decisions and you're the perfect person to be in the position you're at now. That doesn't mean we can't do better, and I look forward next year to having a further conversation and noting some of the improvements that have been made and continue the work that we're all doing to make Worcester the best city it possibly can. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Bergman. And Mayor Petty.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I think I'm tired just listening, I know. But I'll try to be quick and summarize it. But let's just try and put this in some perspective. Our population has increased. Businesses still come in here. Developers are coming here. And I think it's because people feel safe. They feel there's opportunity here. And people feel welcomed here in the city of Worcester. And that's why people are here. And that's why they're not leaving. That's because of leadership here in the city of Worcester. That's because the people in this corner here in the bullpen, right over here. And so I want to say thank you to you, Mr. Manager, the council, and the department heads here, and the city workers. Because I really believe that. People wouldn't be coming here if they didn't feel safe, if there's no opportunity. If businesses weren't. And like Councilor Mitra was saying, there was like 25 ribbon cuttings he's already been. He's only been on the council 6 months. And so I think we're going in the right direction. Some of these categories, I'll go over them real quick. Individual factors, the first one, that's an easy one. You grew up in operations, you know how the city operates, you know everything. I think you really fell into the job over the last several years. You know what you're talking about, which is important. You're accountable, you're not afraid to say when you make a mistake, and also take credit for when you get something done. Financial management, I think we all talk about that. I'm pretty proud of that. The council should be proud of it with you and Mr. McGurthy and the whole team. It's not an easy job because when you only have a couple $1 million to spend and people are asking for $20 million, it's not an easy job. But you keep the city afloat. The bond rating agencies do a good job. Give credit to us for that, and because there's a lot of demands. What was the other categories here? Economic growth and arts and culture. You know, economic growth, businesses, like I say, are coming here. They want to operate here. They want to develop here. It's very competitive for other cities and towns, no question about it. But we have a lot to offer. Look forward to the Green Tech Park coming to fruition in the future, and other opportunities we have here in the city. And also housing. You know, Mr. Dunn does a great job providing us a report every quarter on housing, and I don't know if people read it or they don't want to read it, but there's a lot of good things in that report. There's a lot of things happening in housing. We have a lot of initiatives. As Mr. Dunn has said, that there's right now currently, there's over 1,800 active projects under construction. 1,800 units. 1,800. That's not counting last year. And we think we're number 2 in the state last year, behind Boston. So there's a lot going on here, and there's a lot of pressures. This isn't an easy job to do, trying to build housing, because there's a lot of demands there's a lot of factors that go into it, which I won't get into. But also, when it comes to the arts and culture, I think is so important here to the city of Worcester and what we do. It makes Worcester go. People are attracted. That's why they stay here. We got young people staying here. We've become a city over the last 10 to 15 years, a city. People come here and look at it right now and say, if they weren't here for 10 years, they go, what happened? We became a city. There's a lot of demands and growth, and we're continuing down that road. But I think Councilor Haley was mentioning too about, and he's right, so I had written down the same note. You know, when we did the watch for the World Cup, and we had probably the first night, I want to say 800, maybe 1,000 people. The second night it rained, and still 600 or 700 came out, and for that. So I got to thinking, saying we should have more citywide, more neighborhood, both. That really generate and bring people out. And what it's closing, we talked about closing streets. On Sunday, I was at Market on Exchange. I know with them this week. And they've already outgrown their area. They want to know how they're going to proceed. They want to close down probably either Waldo or part of Commercial Street to make it bigger, because everybody's squished into that little area. It's been very successful. The income they're generating is pretty big, so they have parking issues. They got, but that's a good spot for that. We talked about maybe during the holidays and how do we proceed. Maybe we do some type of holiday thing between Thanksgiving and the holidays in December, connecting, maybe Market on Exchange through the Canal District into the neighborhoods. We could do a lot of good stuff. And I think we should close down streets and see how it goes. It'll come in the future. I know we talked about that in the past. I think also we need to continue on the traffic calming measures in the city, transportation mobility, because we have a lot of issues. There's no question about it. People do get, per capita, one of the highest death rate, the highest accident rate in the state of Massachusetts. And we can't ignore that. We continue to address environmental issues, tree issues, doing the 500 trees. I know Rob Antonelli's doing a good job on that, trying to put those trees in within 2 years, and hopefully that comes to fruition. The parks, you make you proud. You go in the parks, you talk about the blue space, and it's good quality of life issues to have, And so I want to congratulate you on that. Public Health Department seems to go in the right direction. Look forward to some of the reports that come forward to us in the future, and we're going to head into public health. Some of the things I think potholes, snow removal, like Gary was saying, is we give them the money. It was how many $1 million? Like $16 million? I forget. $11 million. So we expect the expectations are high. And this goes into, like I think Council Toomey was talking about, employees attracting, retaining. And DPW has the same issues as the Worcester Police, Worcester Fire, other departments. It's hard to attract people and keep people. So I think that's a big issue. And especially in the DPW, making sure we have the right people in that area. Some of the challenges also to, Councilor Como's brought this up, Councilor Pasillo before him in district, and my pet peeve, when someone opens a street or a sidewalk, it needs to be closed in a certain amount of time. There's no reason to open up Burncoat Street and go 6 months without doing Burncoat Street. Or Park Ave. I think Park Ave's still open in some of the areas. I could be wrong, but I haven't driven down there in a while. But no street or sidewalk should be open when winter comes. We never had that issue before. No street should be opened and stay open and not completed when winter comes. Something should be done, and these developers or contractors should be held responsible. And same with utility companies. I know Councilor Como's working on that. And DPW, his predecessor, George Russell, his pet peeve was, even tonight, walking out, people were upset. They're walking out and they said, Joe, come look at my street. It's caving in from where the utilities were. I don't want to call anybody because I know nobody's going to, I've asked, and nobody comes back and fixes them. So those are my two pet peeves anyways. And the other thing is trying to get the agreements with the college and university and the Spectrum deals done, as soon as you can. Will go a long way. Homelessness, the day center's a priority, no question about it. Winter shelter's a priority this winter. I know last winter you had a spot, and the last minute someone pulled out, so you scrambled and you did a good job putting it together afterwards. So I do appreciate that. And because the unhoused, we need to make sure they're taken care of. And that day center is so important to make sure that gets done on time. So stay on top of that and making sure that's done. Buildings, schools, Burncoat Middle. See, we are on the trajectory to get those done. There's a priority. I know there's a financial issue. No, there could be financial issues, but right now it's built. Both schools are built into the budget, even though the Burncoat Middle has not been approved. Burncoat High School has been approved. So that's a priority to get both those schools done. Again, as Council Toomey was saying, police and fire stations probably should be being looked at. And also, I just want to, we've invested a lot of money in police and fire, and the fire department has really come through. We just invest in vehicles, fire trucks, or ladders, engines, but we also invested in the people there and procedures, and it's starting to show. You know, a lot of fires are handled pretty quickly here in the city of Worcester, and I think it's because of the leadership of the fire department. And the same with the police department. The leadership in the police department, we're a safe city. Crime is down in general, and I think as they work well with the neighborhoods, they can't do it by themselves. So hopefully continue down that path. Quality of life team, Laura Consenza in 311, the NRT team, you make a difference, you know, you're out there all the time. And I just want to thank them for the work that they do, because that's like, it's almost like the streets, the sidewalks, it's a lifeline to a district city council is to have a good relationship with the quality of life team and the 311 team to get things done. Clean streets, going in the right direction, no question. We've invested a lot there, clean streets with some of the, opening up the drop-off center, and also putting out the trash receptacles and new versions of those, and hopefully they'll get more of those out there, but we still need to move forward. Sometimes our neighborhoods don't look good, sometimes they do. So I think that's always a priority. And I think I'm going to wrap it up, but Mr. Manager, I gave you something, I think it was like a 165 out of the 200. So I want to thank you for the work you do. You work hard. People don't realize it. Some things are out of your hands, like the unhoused, the homeless situation is probably one of the toughest issues every city is facing. I talked to a mayor of a major city. I said, how's it going? She told me what she's doing that's making a difference. She's working for an organization that has beds already available. So you don't have to go around trying to find a bed for somebody. They go out to the neighborhoods or where they are, and they bring these people in because they have beds always available. We can go over that and what she said to me. It's just made a big difference in her city. And you do it with toughness, but with empathy. I mean, you care, which makes it important. Because, you know, I really believe in the words, by the grace of God go I, you know. So I just want to thank you. I want to thank your team. You guys do good work. You do good work. It's not an easy job. It's not an easy job at all. So it's a tough job, especially in this where everything's under the spotlight and social media and everybody. You don't even know you have a problem if you see it on social media sometimes, and so you can't even address it. So I just want to thank everybody. I want to thank the team. Everything you guys all do, you make the city a better place. And so thank you guys. And thank you, Mr. Manager.
Thank you, Mayor Petty. Manager Batista, would you like to say a few words?
Should I put a timer on?
Yeah, put the timer. I'm gonna take the 20 minutes for this 2.5-hour session. No, first I just want to thank the mayor. I want to thank the city council for your support, your leadership, your commitment, and your just, you know, your conversations that we have on a day-to-day basis. Some councilors, we just talk every day. Some councilors twice or 3 times a week. So I appreciate the leadership and also the support. I want to thank the staff, my direct staff. Many of them are upstairs. Some of them, this is probably past their time. I know that they have families, so I appreciate you for being here. The cabinet, we spent a lot of time, a lot of conversations, trying to deal with a lot of the issues that we're facing as a city. So I want to thank the cabinet for your leadership. There's a lot of new faces in the cabinet, some older familiar faces, but newer faces that I truly appreciate the work and the support. Because at the end of the day, like many of the council said, I'm the face of the work. I'm the face of the administration on a day-to-day basis. But there's thousands and thousands and thousands of decisions that are made every single day that I am not the one making them. My staff is. My staff is the one dealing with and working with the council, the residents, the visitors, the business owners. I mean, you name it. The railroad companies, everything. They're dealing with it at all levels. So I really appreciate them because this evaluation, yes, it's an evaluation of me, but it's really an evaluation of the staff and the work that they do each and every day. So I want to thank them. for the support and also the work that they're doing. Municipal government, I've been in this city government for 14 years. And municipal government has drastically changed in 14 years. Let alone, if you think about it, in the past 6 years from COVID to now, has dramatically changed. One of the biggest changes of municipal government today is the demand for speed, the demand to be able to get things done fast. Because we live in a world of social media and technology that demands us to move even faster. And New England is a community that it is an area that always wants, because if you go to down south or the west, people are like, yeah, let's have coffee, let's relax, let's talk first, and then let's get to business. New England is, let's go, go, go. But we live in a world, in a society right now, that the demand for access and the demand to be able to get things done is not today, it was yesterday. And that puts a lot of pressure on municipal government, because municipal government was built to go slow and to take its time, to have process, right? I should not be able to just make decisions on the fly quickly without council sometimes, right? Council needs to approve, they need to petition, it has to go to committee, there has to be conversations. All these things need to happen. But I think in the midst of all of that, one of the biggest things that in my 3 years of being a city manager, we've gone through a lot of transitions and it's still in the part of it. And the biggest component of that is technology. We're also going through major changes in our technology. All of these department heads, on top of their day-to-day jobs, it's been transitioning from legacy systems or manual process to technology and creating new business process, new business practice, and doing so at the same time that they're doing the day-to-day that we're all asking them to do. When you think about Workday, the financial management system, to HCM, the human capital management, which will be the employee portal for every single employee in the entire city. That's thousands of employees, including the school department, that will be impacted by that. They're doing their job on the day-to-day, but on top of that, they're doing this other job to try to make sure that we get this technology. From police department and getting a new CAD system and RMS that we've been waiting for years. Again, a lot of these legacy systems are 20 and 30-year-old systems. And so in some ways, I kind of want to put a construction sign out front to say we're under construction, because literally the amount of work that these departments are doing every single day to improve our systems, it is unbelievable. And it's more so in the technology, because as we're talking about today, we're talking about better communication, we're talking about data and information, and ways in which we can be more proficient and efficient in the way that we do our delivery of service. They all want to do the same thing. They want to be able to achieve that and provide that to our community, and I want to be able to make sure we do that. But unfortunately, there's a lot of work that needs to be done on the foundational level to improve these system technologies that we need in hand in front of us to be able. And if you look back in the last 10 years, from the amount of money in operational dollars that we've invested in technology, from what we used to spend in our financial budget, in our technology budget, from what we are today, it's just unbelievable the amount. We're talking about millions and millions of dollars that this council body and the administration have been able to support. And that's because the demand is there. Everyone you see here and everybody's probably watching and everybody's probably listening, I do want to communicate to the council and the public, they all listen. They're all listening. Whether tomorrow, they get on the computer, put their headphones on and listen to the council meeting, to listening to the radio station, to a neighborhood session, etc. Every single employee in the city government is listening. And that's important because they're listening to the residents, the council, and everything that's being communicated, because they're the ones who are day-to-day doing this work for the city of Worcester. So again, at the end of the day, I just want to thank the residents of the city. Many of us are residents. We live in the city. Some of us are born here. Some of us have been raised all our lives. We're raising our own family here. My family's probably watching right now, as they do. And sometimes I tell my wife, why would you do that? Just go to sleep. Do something else. Don't watch this council meeting. But she watches. And so I just want to thank the residents for their support. I want to thank them for the advocacy, because government becomes better when we have all of us working together, the residents, the visitors, the business community, and all of us, and especially in my role. So I look forward to a new year. Starts next tomorrow. So Tim, we got to get ready. We got a lot of work to do. But I'm really thankful for the leadership. I'm thankful for the support. But more work needs to be done. I am a strong believer in continuous improvement. That's the work that I was doing when I was in the Office of Innovation. I strongly believe in that, and I believe in the power of making sure that we're every day, whatever we do as individuals, whether it's self, as a personal or even professionally, is doing whatever we can to improve ourselves and make ourselves better, but also ultimately the city of Worcester better. My vision is to be the best managed city. Is it an ambitious goal? Absolutely. It's an ambitious vision. But we have to set those so that we can be able to work towards that and make sure that we, as a city, as cabinets, as leaders, as employees of this community, make sure that we will deliver the quality service that not only the residents deserve, the council, but also some of our own families, some of our own work as well. So again, I just want to thank you. Kudos to the work that the team continues to do, continue to do, rock on, keep on doing, and make sure that next year will even be stronger. So I appreciate the council for the support. And honestly, I do appreciate the constructive criticism, also the areas that we need to think better. Some of those areas, we already align on that. We already know that's an area that we need to do better. And we're strongly working towards that, and just know that we're going to be committed to making sure we improve and deliver quality services for our residents. So thank you, everybody.
Okay, we can file 5A. All those in favor, opposed, so ordered. Motion to adjourn. All those in favor, opposed, so ordered. And, meetings third week in July. See you then. Enjoy your summer. Enjoy your 4th. And don't forget about the fireworks Thursday night. Thank you.